Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes. Of course, she knew why Manager Lu was unhappy. He must have felt that she had fooled him and then signaled Fatty Wang to find trouble with her. She originally thought that Lin Kuei would not go to the General Affairs Office for a while. She did not expect him to go today. It could only be said that his luck was too bad. Of course, this bad luck did not refer to her, but to Fatty Wang. It was a good opportunity to use Fatty Wang as an example. She finally understood that if she wanted to gain a foothold in the primordial murder sect, she would have to be ruthless if she didn't have a backer. It would be exposed sooner or later, so she didn't plan on fooling Manager Lu for long. Moreover, she had Master Xiaohou as her amulet. As long as it wasn't too serious, it wouldn't be a problem. Yun Chujiu thanked the disciple surnamed Ji and gave him 5,000 upper-grade spirit stones. The two sides understood each other and the disciple surnamed Ji left with satisfaction. Humph. What senior brother Ji, senior brother dog, who is he? Di Biming asked with a cold face. Yun Chujiu briefly explained the matter and then said, Prince Charming, I think the Killing Origin sect is much more fun than the Chaos Origin sect. If I see anyone who is not pleasing to the eye, I will let him go on the competition stage and kill him. Di Biming was still very appreciative of Yun Chujiu's domineering tone. He nodded. That's right. If you don't like him, kill him. Oh right, the jade token I gave you last time has been destroyed, right? I got another one. Here, I'll give it to you. I'll also give you the defensive spirit tools in this storage ring. Di Biming handed Yun Chujiu a storage ring. Yun Chujiu used her divine sense to look inside and saw that there were hundreds of defensive spirit tools in addition to the defensive jade token of an immortal tool. Prince Charming, where did you get so many defensive spirit items? Yun Chujiu asked in surprise. It's from the enemy. There will be more in the future. You can use them as you like. A certain Jiu subconsciously straightened her back, looking like she was asking for praise. A certain Jiu was very tactful. She immediately said sweet words. A certain Jiu was being tricked to the point that she was going to fly into the sky. Little Jiu, if you don't like anyone and you can beat them, then you can die. If you can't beat them, then remember this. When I come, I will help you kill them. Where is that fatty who was in charge? I will help you kill him now. A certain someone was addicted to being praised. He felt that he had to do something good again. Yun Chujiu was touched and speechless. She shook her head. They are just clowns. I can handle them. Prince Charming, let me tell you about what happened recently. Help me analyze it. Yun Chujiu told Di Biming about what happened recently. When she mentioned that she had obtained many corpses of ancient cultivators in the Azura prison, Di Biming interrupted her, Little Jiu, I remember that you had collected a lot of remnant souls in the ancient sword tomb. Even if the corpses of those ancient cultivators were not theirs, they were still the best carriers for them to possess. Yun Chujiu slapped her thigh. She was really mystified by the situation. She had not even thought of this. It seemed that good deeds were rewarded. She had originally planned to bury these corpses properly, but there were too many things to do recently. She had not had the time to do it yet. Although Yun Chujiu wanted to test it out immediately, the remnant souls would be damaged once they came out. Moreover, the Killing Origin sect was not a suitable place, so she could only try it again in the future when she had the chance. Yun Chujiu continued to talk about the mermaid man. Prince Charming, what do you think Brother Mermaid told me to be careful of? Is it blue, south, or something else? Di Biming frowned when he heard the name Big Brother Mermaid. When he heard the word Lan, a thought flashed across his mind. Little Jiu, I think that mermaid was talking about Lan. Lan Luochen, who was previously in the Tian Yuan continent, has disappeared. If you meet him in the future, don't bother with him. One look and you can tell that he is not a good person. Yun Chujiu looked at Di Biming speechlessly. She thought to herself, are you sure you are helping her with her analysis and not suppressing her imaginary enemy? Di Biming coughed a little guiltily and said, I am not targeting him. Don't you think it said Lon? Other than the surname, what else could it be? Yun Chuzhou did not expose Di Biming's narrow-mindedness and said perfunctorily, okay, I'll remember it. If I really meet him, I'll try my best to avoid him. Di Biming reminded her a few more times. Yun Chuzhou really wanted to ask, what happened to being arrogant and arrogant? How did he become a chatterbox now? Di Biming changed the topic and said, Little Jiu, I'm going out to do something tomorrow. I'll come back to see you in a few days. If anyone bullies you, I'll come back and teach them a lesson. You mean you're not going back first? You're just taking care of something nearby? Di Biming nodded. I'm going to pick something up. I'll be back in a month or half a month at most. Yun Chuzhou was very tactful. She did not ask further. She only told Di Biming to be careful. That night, Di Biming left the murderous Yuan sect. Since they would meet again soon, Yun Chuzhou was not too sad. This guy slept until the sun was high in the sky. He stretched his body and was about to get up when he heard the sound of the door being slammed. Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou. Hurry up and get to work, or else I'll sue you to the law enforcement office. Yun Chuzhou sneered in her heart when she heard He Sheng's voice. He Sheng was really stupid. He was probably being used as a gun by Fatty Wang. What are you shouting for? Sue whoever you want. Get lost. Yun Chuzhou shouted impatiently. He Sheng, who was standing at the entrance of the courtyard, was about to explode with anger. He gnashed his teeth and said, Good. Good. Yun Chuzhou, you forced me to do this. I officially issue a challenge to you. Let's meet at the competition stage in the afternoon. Good. Then you should hurry and enjoy the remaining few hours, because you are going to die soon. Yun Chuzhou said indifferently. It was good to go to the competition stage. It just so happened that she wanted to see the Killing Yuan sex competition stage. She reckoned that she would go up from time to time in the future. It was necessary to familiarize herself with it first. He Sheng was so angry that he did not know what to say. He gritted his teeth and left. After Yun Chuzhou washed up, she sauntered to the big kitchen and pointed at a handyman. Help me get some food. I'm starving. The handyman did not move. Instead, he stole a glance at Fatty Wang. Fatty Wang snorted coldly. Yun Chuzhou, it's already past breakfast time. Moreover, what right do you have to let other handymen serve you? Who do you think you are? The corners of Yun Chuzhou's mouth curled up. If I kill you, will my words be more forceful in this big kitchen? Fatty Wang did not understand Yun Chuzhou's meaning for a moment. He asked with some confusion, what do you mean? Yun Chuzhou said coldly, what I mean is, if I kill you, will no one in the big kitchen dare to disobey me? Isn't He Sheng going to the competition stage with me in the afternoon? It's good that you're going too. I'll kill you after I kill him, so that there won't be people jumping around in front of me all day. I'll be annoyed. The kitchen was dead silent. Everyone thought that Yun Chuzhou was most likely crazy. A level 6 spiritual mystic realm cultivator was actually so rampant. She was courting death. Not to mention Fatty Wang, who was at level 5 of the spiritual void realm, she couldn't even defeat He Sheng, who was at level 3 of the spiritual void realm. Fatty Wang snorted coldly. Yun Chuzhou, do you think that your lies haven't been seen through? Is that why you're here scaring people? Let me tell you, He Sheng has already handed over the challenge token to the competition stage. You're dead meat today. I'm too lazy to waste my breath on idiots like you. Are you going to give me food or not? If you don't, I'll burn this big kitchen to the ground. I won't be able to recover, and none of you can think of anything good. He Xinjiu said shamelessly. Everyone was so angry that they were about to faint. They had seen rascals before, but they had never seen such rascals. What was the sect leader thinking? How could he bring back such a disaster? Fatty Wang thought to himself that Yun Chujio would be dealt with in the afternoon anyway, so there was no need to lower himself to her level now. Hence, he gave the handyman a look, and the handyman followed Yun Chujio's request and prepared some food for her. Yun Chujio sat on the small pony and said as she ate, "Which one of you has borrowed Fatty Wang and He Xingqian? Hurry up and ask for it. Otherwise, if they die in the afternoon, you won't have anywhere to ask for money." Fatty Wang was so angry that he was twitching. Originally, this little girl at least called him Manager Wang, but now, she actually became Fatty Wang. Moreover, where did she get her confidence from? The person who died must be her. After Yun Chujio finished eating, she walked out of the big kitchen with her hands behind her back and strolled to the competition stage. Because people from the Killing Origin sect would go to the competition stage every 3 days, there were special people managing the competition stage. When the disciple on duty saw Yun Chujio, he asked, "Junior sister, are you going to issue a challenge order?" Yun Chujio shook her head. "Which senior brother or elder is in charge here? I have something important to see you about." Just as the disciple on duty was hesitating whether he should say it or not, a fat old man walked out of the room. "I am the person in charge of the competition stage." "Little girl, why are you looking for me?" "This junior sister, this is Elder Qi." The disciple on duty reminded her from the side. Yun Chujio nodded. "Elder Qi, may I have a word with you?" Elder Qi glanced at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Although he did not think that Yun Chujio would have any important matters, there was nothing to worry about. It was fine to listen to her. When the two of them entered the room, Yun Chujio lowered her voice and kissed him. Elder Qi's expression changed from a casual expression to a serious one. Then, his eyes lit up and he finally laughed out loud, all right, well do as you say. Deal." After Yun Chujio left the competition stage with a smile, He Xing received a message from the competition stage. As the formation of the competition stage needed to be maintained, the competition between him and Yun Chujio was moved to the afternoon of the next day. Although He Xing complained a little, he didn't take it to heart. He didn't mind this one day. Sooner or later, he would be able to take care of that wretched girl. Unexpectedly, a piece of news was quickly spread in the Killing Origin sect. The competition stage introduced a new business. Every time someone went up the competition stage, everyone could place a bet. The winner would allocate the loser's gambling capital according to the amount of the bet. Of course, the competition stage could not be wasted. For every bet, the competition stage would take a 1% bonus. In order to prevent the competition stage from being manipulated, the competition stage's people were forbidden to place bets. The entire Murderous Origin sect was in an uproar. The days of cultivation were long and boring, and they finally had a fun time. Moreover, there was money to be made, so naturally, they all flocked to it. When they arrived at the competition stage, they asked around. The first match after the start of the bet was between He Xing of the 3rd layer of the Spiritual Void tier in the Big Kitchen and Yun Chujio of the 6th layer of the Rune Spirit tier. Everyone was so angry that they were amused. "I say, are you guys crazy? Aren't you obviously taking our bonuses? Who would be stupid enough to bet that Yun Chujio would win? That's right. Even a fool knows that He Xing would definitely win. If we bet, we wouldn't make any money even if we won. We would even have to give you a 1% bonus on the competition stage. You guys are too mean." The disciple on duty sneered and said, "You guys are really interesting. Did we force you to bet on the stage? If you guys are willing to bet, then do it. Even if you don't bet, don't slander us. Besides, why isn't anyone betting on Yun Chujio winning? Open your eyes and look at the top of the stage. There are already people betting on Yun Chujio winning, and they're betting 10 million high-grade spirit stones. Only then did the crowd notice that there was a shadow stone beside the competition stage, and on it was a real-time display of the bets placed by both sides. Under Yun Chujia's name was a display of 10 million high-grade spirit stones, while under Hixing's name was a display of 50,000 high-grade spirit stones. The crowd was stunned at first, and then they scrambled to place their bets. What a joke! What's the difference between this and giving away money for free? The earlier you buy, the earlier you earn. Even if 1,000 people split the money, each of them could still get 10,000 spirit stones. Where could they find such a good deal? As the scene was too lively, Elder Qi personally came out to maintain order. The chubby face was smiling like a flower. The little lass was right. Human nature was greedy. In the face of temptation, even basic judgment was lost. The number under Hixing's name slowly rose. Yun Chujia's side was still unmoving at 10 million. Everyone had already expected this. After all, no one was stupid, right? If it was placed on Yun Chujio, then it was because she had money to burn. An hour before the competition, Hixing's bet had already soared to 220 million upper-grade spirit stones, while Yun Chujia's side was still unmoving at 10 million. The competition stage was completely surrounded, and all of them were disciples who had placed their bets. This was related to how much money they could win, so they naturally had to watch it with their own eyes. Not only had Hixing come early, but he had also placed a bet of 200,000 spirit stones on himself. There was a limit to what a handyman like him could bring out, and this was already close to half of his fortune. Hixing spouted nonsense on the competition stage, saying that Yun Chujio would definitely lose today, and that everyone would make a fortune together. Just as Hixing was spouting nonsense, Yun Chujio hopped over. Everyone thought that Yun Chujio would step onto the stage, but they didn't expect her to actually walk up to the betting table and say loudly, "I'll bet 2 million upper-grade spirit stones, I'll bet on myself to win." Everyone immediately exploded. Heavens, this Yun Chujio is simply crazy. Where did she get her confidence from? How could a trash like her win against Hixing with such a small body? She might not even be able to save her own life in the end, but she actually bet on herself to win. She's really crazy. I heard that this Yun Chujio stayed in our Killing Yuan sect for 3 months, then stayed in the Chaos Yuan sect for another 3 months, and so on. I guess she thought that the higher-ups would help her, right? But, I heard the rumors. The sect leader said that as long as we don't kill her, the rest is up to us. What's the point of saying those useless things? Hurry up and increase the stakes. Right, right. The more you bet, the more you'll get. I'll add another 100,000. Chapter 27-22, Instant Victory. Everyone seemed to have gone mad as they began to raise the stakes. At the end of the betting period, Yun Chujia's name had 12 million high-grade spirit stones under it, while Hixing's had already soared to 350 million high-grade spirit stones. Elder Qi's chubby face was filled with regret. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have agreed to such a low percentage of shares. He would have suffered a huge loss. However, could that little girl really win? It was estimated that only half of the people present supported Yun Chujio, and that was Elder Qi. The reason why it was said to be half a person was because although Elder Qi hoped that Yun Chujio would win, he felt that the probability was really quite slim. When the time for the competition was up, Hixing began to clamor on the competition stage. It was nothing more than telling Yun Chujio to hurry up and not waste everyone's time. Yun Chujio acted as if she didn't hear him and slowly climbed up the ladder onto the stage. When Elder Qi saw this, he was instantly discouraged. This stage was only 3 zhang high. Could it be that she couldn't even jump onto the stage? How could she win? She was definitely going to lose. Those disciples who had placed their bets cried out in excitement. They felt that they were definitely going to win. Although there were quite a number of people who had split the money, each of them could also split a few thousand spirit stones. Wasn't this a great deal? After Yun Chuzhou climbed onto the competition stage, a disciple who was hosting the competition asked the two of them to sign their names on the life and death certificates. Then, he signaled for the competition to begin. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lin Kuei stood in front of the crowd with a face full of impatience. He felt that this Yun Chuzhou was a troublesome person. He did not know what his master was thinking, but he insisted on bringing her back. Now, she had only entered the sect for 3 days, and she was already forced onto the competition stage. He even had to trouble him to come over at the critical moment to save her life. He Xing snorted coldly. Yun Chuzhou, don't blame me for being ruthless. This is all your own doing. As a new handyman, you actually disobeyed the arrangements and even skipped work. Enough. What are you wasting time for? Where did all this nonsense come from? I just don't like you and want to kill you. This is the reason why I want to kill you. Come on, let's do it. Yun Chuzhou interrupted He Xing impatiently. The onlookers below were dumbfounded. Holy shit. Although Yun Chuzhia's spiritual power was not high, her words were firm. Could it be that she was going to die soon? He Xing sneered, good. Good. Since you want to die, then accept. He Xing could not say the word die, because he saw Yun Chuzhou looking at him with a half-smile on her left hand and a stack of flame-bursting talismans in her right hand. Say it, why don't you say it? I admit that I'm a waste, but I have talismans. I'll use the ice-condensing talismans to lower your movements and then use the flame-exploding talismans to attack you. Don't you think it's fun? With so many talismans, you should be able to play for a long time. He Xing swallowed his saliva. You're lying. It's impossible for all the talismans in your hands to be flame-exploding talismans and ice-condensing talismans. Is that so? Then let's give it a try. As she spoke, Yun Chuzhou threw 2 ice-condensing talismans at He Xing. Taking advantage of the time when He Xing's movements were slow, she threw 1 flame-exploding talisman at him. After a boom, although He Xing was not injured by relying on the defensive spiritual device on his body, he was still very scared. Moreover, He Xingjiu was eager to continue throwing flame-exploding talismans. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. He Xing did not care about his face anymore. His life was more important now. Admit defeat? Isn't it the rule in the competition stage that one side must be acknowledged by the other side if one side admits defeat? I'm sorry, I don't approve. I want to kill you today. It's your fault for bad-mouthing me in the kitchen. He Xing fell to his knees with a thump. Junior sister Yun, I was wrong. Please spare me. I will definitely listen to you in the future and prepare good food for you every day. I beg you, please spare me. It's not impossible to spare you, but you have to let me see your sincerity. How about this, you scold Fatty Wong for me now until I am satisfied. Yun Chuzhou waved the explosive talisman in her hand. He Xing was about to cry. After scolding Fatty Wong, his days in the big kitchen would definitely be miserable. However, if he didn't scold Fatty Wong, this little pervert in front of him would torture him to death. The lesser of 2 evils, He Xing chose to scold him in the end. Wong, Fatty Wong is a bastard. Usually, he either beats us or scolds us. He is a tyrant. He is shameless. He Xing was still trying to survive in the beginning. Later on, he vented all the anger he had accumulated over the years and scolded him to his heart's content. Fatty Wong, who was in the crowd, fainted with a lump in his throat. Firstly, it was because He Xing had scolded him. Secondly, he had bet 500,000 high-grade spirit stones on He Xing. This time, it was all for naught. Fatty Wong was not the only one who fainted. There were also many people who fainted. They were all disciples who had placed big bets on He Xing. Yun Chuzhou turned around and asked the disciple on duty, "Did I win this competition?" That disciple nodded repeatedly. Junior sister Yun, you won. Yun Chujio ignored He Sheng, who was still cursing non-stop. She went down the ladder and said to Elder Qi, come, let's enter the room and calculate how much money I have won. Elder Qi's chubby face was smiling like a flower. He never thought that the competition would end so quickly. Although this little girl's spiritual power was low, her brain was enough. In any case, the competition stage did not prohibit the use of talismans, so there was nothing wrong with her winning. Elder Qi, according to what we said beforehand, excluding the 1% bonus that should be given to you, it'll give you another 20% of the money I won. Here, this is yours, the rest is mine. Elder Qi looked at the nearly 300 million upper-grade spirit stones that Yun Chujio had put into her storage ring, and his heart was aching so much that he was grinding his teeth. How regretful he was. If he had known earlier, he would have asked for at least 50%. However, this time, he had earned tens of millions of high-grade spirit stones, which was considered a profitable business, so it was not considered a loss. The disciples outside had lost so badly that they had no hope of surviving. However, what they were more concerned about was who had bet the 10 million high-grade spirit stones, and whether they had made a huge profit. The disciple on duty looked at the crowd and said with pity, the 10 million high-grade spirit stones were also bet by junior sister Yun. In other words, the money you lost was all won by junior sister Yun. What? The 10 million was also bet by Yun Chujio? Then didn't she win several hundred million upper-grade spirit stones at once? On what basis? Therefore, when Yun Chujio came out of Elder Qi's house, she was surrounded by the crowd. Yun Chujio, return our hard-earned money. Yes, Yun Chujio, you cheated. Quickly return the money, or I will challenge you. Yun Chujio, do you want money or your life? Choose one. Elder Qi didn't expect things to turn out like this. As the saying goes, one cannot offend the public. What would the little girl do? She wouldn't give him up, right? Thinking of this, Elder Qi glared fiercely at the disciple who leaked the secret. That disciple had an innocent look on his face, but he didn't say anything. Just as Elder Qi's heart was racing, he heard Yun Chujio shout, "Shut up. I can give you an explanation, but if one of you doesn't shut up, I won't say a word." Everyone immediately quieted down. It was so quiet that even a needle dropping on the ground could hear the movement. They still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts. Perhaps Yun Chujio was afraid of angering the crowd, so she would return the money she won to them. Yun Chujio motioned for the crowd to make a path, and then followed the ladder up to the competition stage. The crowd was confused. What was Yun Chujio doing on the competition stage? Could it be that she really wanted to accept the challenge? Was she stupid? If so many people were to challenge her, no matter how many talismans she had, it would be useless. Yun Chujio looked around. She had observed before that the people who placed their bets were mostly outer sect disciples and odd job workers. There were only a few inner sect disciples. This was also the reason why she was unscrupulous. Do you feel very wronged? Do you think I cheated you out of your money? Yun Chujio asked with a cold smile. The crowd below started to clamor again, shouting about swindlers and returning money. Yun Chujio waited for them to calm down and said in a cold tone, "Swindlers. I just want to ask you one thing. If I lose this competition and He Sheng wins, will you still say that this is a scam?" Everyone was rendered speechless by the question. If He Sheng had won, they would have happily split the money by now. Why would they accuse Yun Chujio of scamming money here? Isn't that enough? You call me a scammer? Where is your face? Did I force you to place a bet or did I force you to bet on He Sheng to win? If you are willing to accept your loss, you can only blame your poor eyes for not seeing that I, Yun Chujio, am someone important. Your current performance is that you cannot afford to lose. Of course, I, Yun Chujio, have always been fearless. If anyone feels indignant, feel free to come and challenge me. As long as I am still in the Shi Yuan sect, I will never admit defeat. Oh right, I have to remind you that my family is in the business of selling talismans and defensive spirit tools. If you want to test how many talismans and defensive spirit tools I have, feel free to come, I'll accompany you to the end. Yun Chuzhou took out 2 baskets of talismans and placed them on the ground. She had no choice. It was too exaggerated to put them in a gunny sack, so she could only find 2 bamboo baskets. Anyway, it's still early. Who wants to come up? Everyone looked at each other. Although they wished they could strangle Yun Chuzhou to death, no one wanted to be the sacrifice of those 2 baskets of talismans. Moreover, there were always winners and losers in a bet. Perhaps they would win the next round. Therefore, although they were unwilling, they still dispersed in 2s and 3s. Of course, some people had evil thoughts. That little girl had so many spirit stones on her. If they killed her, wouldn't they make a fortune? Leng Kuei had been watching coldly from below. When Yun Chuzhou got off the competition stage, he walked over and snorted coldly. Yun Chuzhou, I advise you to use your cleverness in the right place. Besides, you are as stupid as a pig. Don't you know that you don't reveal your wealth? Just wait for your bad luck. Thank you for your concern, senior brother Leng. I will pay attention to my safety. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Leng Kuei, no one was shameless to this extent. He cared about her. He was just afraid of trouble. In order to protect her life, he had to keep an eye on her. The more trouble she had, the more time she would waste on his cultivation. The more Leng Kuei thought about it, the angrier he became. He fiercely glared at Yun Chuzhou and then went to see Master Xiahou. After Leng Kuei saw Master Xiahou, he went straight to the point. Master, can you send that Yun Chuzhou back to the Hunyuan sect? Master Xiahou frowned. Why? Master, you don't know that Yun Chuzhou is a bad person. She has only been in our Killing Yuan sect for 3 days, and she was forced onto the competition stage. What? On the competition stage? She didn't get beaten to death, right? Master Xiahou raised his voice. Of course she didn't die. She used the talisman to scare the opponent into admitting defeat. Leng Kuei said angrily. Master Xiahou smiled. I knew that this little girl was full of bad ideas. It's good that she didn't die. Young people are bound to be competitive. It's not a bad thing to go to the competition stage. But, Master, she also urged Elder Qi to set up some kind of bet. It's the kind of bet that bets on who wins and who loses. Leng Kuei wasn't stupid. He saw that Elder Qi's attitude towards Yun Chuzhou was so good, he knew that there was something fishy with just a guess. What? A bet? This is outrageous. Isn't this making me lose my will to play with things? Go to the law enforcement office immediately and get someone to warn Elder Qi. Stop immediately and don't do it again. Master Xiahou said with a gloomy face. Master, I guess that Yun Chuzhou and Elder Qi already knew that you would order them to stop. What they are doing is a one-time deal. You might not know, but just this one time, that Yun Chuzhou earned 300 million upper-grade spirit stones. How much, how much? Sect Master Xiahou suddenly stood up from his chair. 300 million, Master, you didn't hear wrong, it's 300 million. This Yun Chuzhou was a restless person. Many disciples fainted on the spot. Moreover, she had earned so much money. Could those people just let it go? They would definitely do something behind her back. I really can't guarantee her safety, Leng Kuei said indignantly. 300 million. Oh my God, how can gambling earn so much? Leng Kuei, do you think our Shi Yuan sect should open a few casinos in the eastern continent? Master Xiahou said excitedly. Leng Kuei was speechless. Master, you've gone astray, all right. The key issue now was not whether the casinos would make money, but whether or not to send that bad deed back to the primordial chaos sect, all right? Leng Kuei was even thinking just now that the primordial chaos sect couldn't have deliberately sent this Yun Chuzhou to harm their primordial chaos sect, right? He had only been here for 3 days, and he had already cheated 300 million high-grade spirit stones. If this was 3 months, wouldn't he still have to dig a hole in the primordial chaos sect? When Master Xiahou saw Leng Kuei's constipated look, he had no choice but to restrain his emotions. He coughed twice and said, "Well, Master was just joking with you just now. Can you tell me what exactly happened?" Leng Kuei told him everything he knew and then said, "Master, this Yun Chuzhou is a troublemaker. It's better to send her back." Master Xiahou shook his head, "You're exaggerating. Although this little girl could cause trouble, it was not bad to let those idiots learn their lesson. She was really stupid. As for her safety, you can pay more attention to her. Moreover, that little girl is not an ordinary person. It's not certain who killed who." Although Leng Kuei felt that Master Xiahou was flattering Yun Chuzhou too much, he did not dare to disobey. He could only admit that he was unlucky and decided to sacrifice a part of his cultivation time to pay attention to Yun Chuzhou's safety. Ever since the matter of the competition stage, Yun Chuzhou began to reign supreme in the kitchen. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Fatty Wong was so aggrieved that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. However, when he thought of Yun Chuzhou's 2 baskets of talismans, he immediately stopped eating. Yun Chuzhou had been acting all high and mighty in the kitchen for a few days. She felt very bored, so she began to hop around. One day, she jumped to the fire peak. A burning sensation suddenly came from her right palm. Yun Chuzhou was delighted. The little flame had woken up. Before this guy could be happy, he saw the little flame jump out of her right hand and disappeared in an instant. What the fuck? Both of them were worried. If they were discovered in broad daylight, wouldn't they be snatched away by others? Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to rely on the little flame's little sense to start searching. When this guy was running with all his might, he was stopped by someone. "Junior Sister Yun, please wait. In front is the cave of introspection. Without a document from the law enforcement office, you are not allowed to enter," a disciple on duty said politely. Due to the huge commotion from the previous gambling match, many people from the Killing Origin sect knew Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to stop and stretch her neck to look ahead. In front of her was a teleportation array, which was similar to the one used by the Chaotic Origin sect to enter the Cave of Introspection. Self-Reflection Cave. Needless to say, this was a replica of the Sigua Cave. Yun Chuzhou suppressed her anxiety and asked with a smile, "Senior brother, may I ask if the disciples who were punished to go to the self-reflection cave were only in a daze to reflect?" The disciples on duty could not help but laugh out loud. One of the disciples said with a smile, "Junior Sister Yun, if they were only in a daze, why would they come from the self-reflection cave? There are punishments in the self-reflection cave. Moreover, the higher the number of the cave, the harsher the punishment inside." "Oh. What kind of punishments are those? Are they heavenly lightning strikes?" Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and asked curiously. "Heavenly lightning strikes are not that severe. They are the punishments of the 5-element spiritual power attacks, such as wind blades, earth thorns, vines, fireballs, water arrows, and so on. However, it is also very difficult to endure, especially when it comes to fire-type attacks. It is said that there is a strange flame produced by the 1,000-year-old fire marrow, which makes people peel off a layer of skin even if they don't die." Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, no wonder the little flame rushed in a hurry. It must have gone for the 1,000-year-old fire marrow. It's just that the little flame's intelligence was still weak. If it was kidnapped, it would be terrible. She had to think of a way to sneak in and take a look before she could be at ease. Hence, this fellow racked his brains and began to study the sect rules of the Yuan-killing sect. There was clearly no use in fighting and blackmailing others. Then, what kind of bad things should he do? There was no time to lose, and it had to be something that could be done immediately. This fellow raised her head by chance and saw a large plaque at the entrance of the Fire Peak. On it were two large golden words, Fire Peak, signed by Hongyuan Grandmaster. This fellow was scheming. If she took down this plaque and took it with her, it would definitely be a big crime. At that time, she would be punished to enter a self-reflection cave, and it would definitely be a high-level self-reflection cave. Yes, let's do it. This fellow looked around and saw a few people coming from afar. There were witnesses, and when they were caught, it would be great. This fellow deliberately exaggerated, this plaque looks pretty good. I want it. Then, this fellow jumped up to pick the plaque. However, when her fingers touched the plaque, before she could take it down, the plaque fell to the ground and broke into two pieces. Damn it, she was cheated. Yun Chujia's depression could be imagined. She had been hunting geese all year round, but her eyes had actually been pecked by the geese. It was simply too embarrassing. Damn it, who was so wicked to put a broken plaque here? Wasn't this deliberately harming her? Didn't this fellow think about it? Who asked her to owe her son to steal the plaque? The few disciples in the distance were all from Fire Peak. At this moment, they had already surrounded Yun Chujio and were scolding her angrily. Yun Chujio, you have gone too far. You actually broke our Fire Peak's plaque. Could it be that you were sent by the Mixed Origins sect to steal the plaque? I didn't expect the Mixed Origins sect to be so despicable and shameless. Speak, what are your intentions? Yun Chujio looked at the crowd and weakly said, if I said that I was framed, would you believe me? Pooey. We all heard you say that this plaque is not bad. You want to steal it, but you still dare to deny it? The crowd was talking at once, filled with righteous indignation. Yun Chujio wanted to cry, but she had no tears. If she had only stolen the plaque, she would have been locked up in the self-reflection cave for a few days. But now, she had destroyed the plaque that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years by the founder of the Fire Peak. Even if she was locked up in the self-reflection cave for the rest of her life, she was afraid that she would not be able to appease the people of the Fire Peak. This time, she was really throwing a stone at her own feet. What should she do? Could it be that she could only show the sect leader ring of Patriarch Hongyuan? However, this might bring even more trouble. As the matter had become too big, not long after, Master Xiaoho and the other 4 peak masters arrived. Leng Kuei also came over. When he saw that it was Yun Chujio again, he wanted to strangle her to death. Ever since she came, she had never stopped. She was simply a jinx. Mountain Master Zhao of the Fire Peak saw the broken board and couldn't help but cry as he knelt on the ground. Yun Chujio jumped in fright. What was wrong with this old man? Mountain Master Zhao said in grief, Mountain Master Zhao, I, Zhao Xinji, have let you all down. I didn't think that the board that has been passed down for tens of thousands of years would be destroyed in my hands. Yun Chujio, who had a rare conscience, said dryly, Mountain Master Zhao, don't be too sad. In fact, this plaque has been broken for tens of thousands of years. Shut up. Although this Yun Chujio has a special identity, she destroyed our Fire Peak's plaque. I request that she be executed. Mountain Master Zhao said with red eyes. Yun Chujio immediately fed her sympathy to the dogs. She originally thought that this old man was crying pitifully, but she didn't expect him to be so vicious that he wanted to kill her. The 3 mountain masters of the Golden Peak, Wood Peak, and Earth Peak all said indignantly, Sect Master, we agree with Mountain Master Zhao. This Yun Chujio is extremely evil. We have to kill her before we can answer to our ancestors. The three peak masters felt that Mountain Master Zhao was right. On the other hand, they felt that Yun Chuzhou was a disaster. If they didn't kill her, what if their signboards were destroyed one day? Master Xiaohu's expression was dark and he was furious. This was the handwriting of the founder of the mountain, and it was destroyed just like that. However, Yun Chuzhou was not an ordinary disciple of the Murder Essence sect. Her life and death not only involved the primordial chaos sect, but also the divine devil hall. How should she be dealt with? Yun Chuzhou knew that she could only save herself now, so she said timidly, I know I've made a big mistake, but at least let me say a few words, right? Humph. What else do you have to say? You're just a greedy person, otherwise, you wouldn't have cheated those disciples of their spirit stones. You must have seen the value of our Gene Peaks plaque, so you got greedy. It's really hateful. If it wasn't for the sect master, I would have slapped you to death. The Fire Peak Master's eyes were red, he looked like he was going to eat someone. Yun Chuzhou shrunk her neck, Mountain Master Zhao, I can understand your feelings. However, I still have to say that I did plan to steal this plaque. But the moment I touched it, it fell to the ground. If I lie, it'll be struck by lightning. Boom! A purple lightning coincidentally struck Yun Chuzhou. Everyone, Yun Chuzhou almost fainted from anger. The damn lightning hadn't even struck her grandfather when she asked it to. Now that she had made a vow, it was immediately struck down. Was it intentional? Furthermore, she wasn't lying at all. She really wasn't the one who broke the damn plaque. Humph. What else do you have to say this time? Sect Master, the evidence is conclusive. What do you think we should do? Mountain Master Zhao said angrily. Master Xiaohu's intestines were almost turning green with regret. If he had known that this person was a troublemaker, he wouldn't have brought her back to the Killing Origin clan. But now, he could kill her, but he couldn't kill her, and he couldn't convince the masses. He was truly worried. Yun Chuzhou knew that Master Xiaohu would most likely not kill her. However, this fellow was still extremely resentful of the broken plaque on the ground. She did not know which wicked person had done such a bad thing and actually framed her. She had never suffered such a hidden loss before. Could it be that she could only admit defeat? Yun Chuzhou saw the problem as she looked at it. She cried out, I have evidence. I have evidence that this plaque was broken a long time ago. I did not do it. Everyone snorted coldly. They felt that Yun Chuzhou must be quibbling. Only Master Xiaohu asked, what evidence do you have? Yun Chuzhou pointed at the broken plaque on the ground and said, this plaque should be made of high-quality materials, right? How could it break when it fell on the ground? Look at the fracture. It was clearly cut by someone with a sharp weapon. It was not broken by falling at all. Furthermore, look at the place where it's broken. It's been there for a long time and there's dirt everywhere. Mountain Master Zhao squatted down and picked up half of the board. Sure enough, the crack was clearly cut by a sharp weapon. Furthermore, there was dirt on the crack. It had been broken for a long time. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so much dirt in such a small crack. Master Xiaohu picked up the other half of the plaque and examined it. He couldn't tell whether he was happy or worried. He was happy that he had gotten rid of Yun Chuzhou's suspicion. He didn't have to make things difficult for her. He was worried about who did this plaque. What was the purpose of it? To be able to cut off the plaque and put it back under the eyes of the people of the Shi Yuan sect, it was either an insider's doing or the person's spiritual power was very high. Just as Master Xiaohu was frowning, his hand felt light. When he looked up, his old heart almost stopped. He saw that half of the plaque was put on the ground by Yun Chuzhou. Then, she took out a large kitchen knife and prepared to cut it down. Stop! Stop! Master Xiaohu's voice was almost breaking. The rest of the people also saw Yun Chujia's actions and shouted almost at the same time, "Stop!" Yun Chujio looked at them blankly. "Why are you all so nervous? I just want to help remove the dirt. Since you are so worried, you can do it yourself." Everyone was embarrassed, but they couldn't be blamed. The person in front of them was a bad person. Who knew what she was going to do? Mountain Master Zhao took out a piece of cloth from his interspatial ring and started to carefully clean the wound. Yun Chujio pursed her lips. It was just a broken plaque. Was there a need to be so careful? Furthermore, the dirt might have been stored for tens of thousands of years. Could it be wiped off with a cloth? Sure enough, even after Mountain Master Zhao rubbed it off for a while, he was only able to wipe off some dust, but the dirt still couldn't be removed. Yun Chujio was in a hurry to look for the little flame, but when she saw Mountain Master Zhao dawdling, she was so anxious that she wanted to burn the room. Therefore, when no one was paying attention, she picked up the half of the board on the ground and used a large kitchen knife to cut off the dirt on it. Of course, this cut couldn't be precise, and it would hurt the original material of the board. Then, he opened his eyes wide and said, "Io, there's a treasure inside." Everyone was shocked and immediately looked at the board in Yun Chujia's hand. After Yun Chujio cut off a thin layer, there was a thin sheepskin inside. Yun Chujio instantly became excited. Could it be a treasure map? Before she could take out the sheepskin, the board in her hand was snatched away by Mountain Master Zhao. Yun Chujio was angry. After all this time, she was just a passing god of wealth. However, this board was originally from the Fire Peak, so she couldn't take it back, so she could only stretch her neck to look. After taking the board, Mountain Master Zhao took out the sheepskin. On the top were the words comprehension diagram of the Killing Yuan sword intent, and below them were some small figures holding swords. There were also some notes. Yun Chujio didn't forget anything, and after glancing at it, she memorized it. This guy thought to himself that there was something in this board and maybe there was a good treasure in the other half. Therefore, this guy took advantage of everyone's attention to get rid of the dirt on the other half of the board, but there was nothing. Yun Chujio curled her lips. No wonder, when she touched it, the broken plaque fell to the ground and broke into two halves. It turned out that the two sides were of different weights. Seeing that everyone was still studying the sheepskin, she was so anxious that she scratched her ears and cheeks. She said weakly, "Well, can you look at it again when you have time? Do you want to deal with me first?" Master Xiahou didn't even raise his head. "The merits and faults are offset. It's none of your business. Go and play." Yun Chujio, he didn't want his merits and demerits to be offset. He wanted to be punished to enter the self-reflection cave, all right? Well, merits are merits and demerits are demerits. I should still be punished for my mistakes. Why don't you punish me to stay in the self-reflection cave for a few days? Yun Chujio moved closer to Master Xiahou and said. Master Xiahou was completely focused on that sheepskin. He didn't have the time to pay attention to Yun Chujio. He said perfunctorily, "If I say no punishment, then there's no punishment. Don't delay me from comprehending the sword intent here. Leave quickly." Yun Chujio was sullen. She was asking for a reward, and she was asking for punishment. Why was it so hard to ask for punishment? Was it easy for her? She wanted to get into trouble, but in the end, she made a contribution. How sullen was she? Yun Chujio was anxious. She finally understood that these people's attention was on the broken sheepskin and no one paid any attention to her. She stretched her neck and looked at the broken sheepskin again, muttering, "What's there to see? Isn't it just a blind demonstration with a broken sword?" Leng Kuei had long disliked her. Hearing her words, he said disdainfully, "You don't use a sword, so of course you don't know the profoundness inside. Of course, with your perception, even if you use a sword, you won't be able to understand it. Yun Chujio was already burning with anxiety. Hearing Leng Kuei's words, her little temper immediately rose up. She held the big kitchen knife and sneered, so what if I don't use a sword? I can still comprehend it with a big kitchen knife. Isn't it just this posture? What's so great about it? Don't even think about comprehending it. What's the point of comprehending it? Yun Chujio followed the first posture on the broken sheepskin, holding the big kitchen knife and making the same posture. Leng Kuei's eyes twitched violently. The originally proud and lofty position was now being used by this guy. It was like a chef in the kitchen killing a chicken. Yun Chujio also felt that the position was a little ugly. She awkwardly changed to the second position, but it wasn't any better. Originally, the little people on the sheepskin looked pretty when they were put out, but when it came to her, it was inexplicably funny. This fellow gave herself a way out. It wasn't that her posture was unsightly, it was just that the person on the picture was holding a sword, and she was holding a large kitchen knife, so it didn't look too good. Leng Kuei was distracted by Yun Chujio, so he couldn't focus on comprehending the diagram on the sheepskin. The way he looked at Yun Chujio became even more bitter and vengeful. Yun Chujio was already full of anger. Now that she saw Leng Kuei glaring at her, she did not want to be outdone. Senior brother Leng Kuei, why are you glaring at me? Do you want to fight? Leng Kuei looked at her with disdain. We are not on the same level. Where are you going? Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. In any case, she had not liked Leng Kuei for a long time. She might as well take this opportunity to teach him a lesson. Then, she could justifiably be punished and go to the self-reflection cave. Therefore, Yun Chujio held the large kitchen knife and slashed at Leng Kuei. Whether we are on the same level or not, we will know after we try. Take this. Leng Kuei had long wanted to teach Yun Chujio a lesson, but because of Master Xiahou, now that Yun Chujio had made the first move, he naturally would not be polite. He drew his sword and fought with Yun Chujio. Seeing that Leng Kuei actually used a sword, Yun Chujio cursed in disdain, "You are shameless. You fought with me, and you even used a weapon." Leng Kuei was so angry that he was twitching. Why can't I use a weapon when I'm fighting with you? Besides, he was a sword cultivator to begin with. How could he fight without a sword? In just a dozen moves, Yun Chujio was somewhat unable to withstand it. Firstly, Leng Kuei's spiritual power was higher than hers, and secondly, 1 inch was longer and 1 inch was stronger. The large kitchen knife in her hand was much shorter than Leng Kuei's treasured sword, so she was very restricted. In a moment of impatience, this fellow used the moves on the torn sheepskin. Seeing this, Leng Kuei could not help but sneer. Yun Chujio, that move of hers is to experience the sword intent, not to be used against the enemy. You're really stupid. I'm willing, it's none of your business. The first move of killing a chicken. Leng Kuei was so angry that he was twitching. This was killing him like a chicken. Today, he had to teach this Yun Chujio a lesson. Leng Kuei immediately stepped up his attack. Yun Chujio was desperate. She used the positions on the torn sheepskin one by one and said with conviction, "Chicken killing swordsmanship, second move. Chicken killing swordsmanship, third move." Yun Chujio was just fooling around. Her so-called chicken slaughtering sword technique couldn't pose much of a threat to Leng Kuei. Leng Kuei also wanted to play a trick on her, so he didn't use his full strength. He just watched her play a monkey. However, after a certain Jiu used all 10 of her chicken slaughtering sword techniques, she had a vague idea in her mind. Her face turned serious. "Senior brother Leng Kuei, let's call a truce. I seem to have experienced the profundity of the chicken slaughtering sword technique." Leng Kuei pursed his lips. He thought that Yun Chujio couldn't beat him, so he made up an excuse and didn't want to expose her. Yun Chujio picked up the large kitchen knife and began to practice the so-called chicken slaughtering sword technique repeatedly. Leng Kuei watched disdainfully from the side. Yun Chujio's movements became faster and faster. The disdain on Leng Kuei's face gradually turned into surprise. The reason why Leng Kuei was so surprised wasn't that Yun Chujio's so-called chicken slaughtering sword technique was so exquisite, but that there was a faint sword intent on her body. How could this be? Leng Kuei squatted down and said to Master Xiaohou, "Master, you, look at Yun Chujio quickly." Master Xiaohou was meditating there. Being disturbed by him, he was naturally unhappy. He cursed in his heart, "Is this Leng Kuei's brain not working properly? Why is he looking at Yun Chujio for no reason? It's not like he's full." Leng Kuei saw that Master Xiaohou was not paying attention to him, so he could only tug at Master Xiaohou's sleeve. "Master, quickly take a look." Master Xiaohou was holding his breath, but what was wrong with Leng Kuei? "I'm busy, don't cause trouble." Master Xiaohou exerted a little force, and the miserable Leng Kuei was thrown to the ground. Leng Kuei saw that the sword intent on Yun Chujio's body seemed to be more obvious, so he did not care whether it hurt or not. He moved closer to Master Xiaohou and said, "Master, quickly look at Yun Chujio. She seems to have understood the sword intent." When Master Xiaohou heard the word sword intent, he was suddenly shocked and looked in the direction that Leng Kuei was pointing at. He saw that little girl holding the large kitchen knife and waving it around comically. There was no pattern at all. Her posture was the same as the one on the broken sheepskin. However, there was actually a faint sword intent on her body. How was this possible? Could it be that she could comprehend sword intent just by performing these postures a few times? Leng Kuei, imitate the little girl's appearance. Dance a few times and see if you can gain anything, Master Xiaohou said to Leng Kuei. Although Leng Kuei felt that it was somewhat unreliable, he still imitated Yun Chujio's appearance and performed the postures on the broken sheepskin a few times. Other than sweating profusely, there was no gain at all. The other 4 peak masters were also paying attention to Yun Chujio at this moment, because the sword intent on Yun Chujio's body was becoming more and more obvious. Everyone looked at each other. This was really unreasonable. They had been meditating here for a long time, but they still couldn't comprehend anything. That little girl was good. She was using a broken kitchen knife to gesture, and she actually wanted to comprehend sword intent. After about an hour, a substantial sword intent formed around Yun Chujio. Everyone had envious expressions on their faces. Sword intent was the highest realm that sword cultivators pursued in their entire lives. Some people would never comprehend sword intent in their entire lives. Of course, there were also people who could comprehend many sword intents. However, they did not know what kind of sword intent this little girl had comprehended. Finally, Yun Chujio's sword moves began to slow down, and the sword intent around her began to dissipate. This fellow wiped the sweat on his head and muttered, "Damn, it's really hard to comprehend a sword intent. I'm so tired." Master Xiaohou and the others were so angry that their noses almost went crooked. Sword intent isn't like cabbages. Do you think you can comprehend it so easily? Besides, you only comprehended one sword intent in 2 hours. What else do you want to do? This is too infuriating. Yun Chujio, what sword intent did you comprehend? And how did you comprehend it? Master Xiaohou asked quickly. The sword intent that I comprehended was absolutely unique, chaos. It was just a random dance, and then I had an idea. Order in chaos, victory in chaos. In any case, it meant chaos. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Everyone, well, only this little girl could comprehend such sword intent. Because this guy was a troublemaker. Yun Chuzhou suddenly remembered her purpose of being a demon, her face immediately revealed an expression of guilt and self-blame. Sect Master, fellow Peak Masters, although in the end, I didn't expect that there would be unexpected gains. But I still deeply realized my mistake. I implore you to send me into a self-reflection cave to reflect and let me calm down. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect this little girl to suddenly become sensible. Could it be because she comprehended sword intent? Alright, considering that your spiritual power is low, I will punish you to the lowest level number 1 self-reflection cave. The deadline is half a month. Master Xiahou pondered for a moment and said. Yun Chuzhou had the intention to go to a higher level self-reflection cave, but there must be something wrong. If she persisted, she would probably arouse the suspicion of everyone. This guy suddenly remembered that Di Biming said that he would be back in a few days, so he quickly said, Master, can you spare a few days? I am afraid that my small body can't endure such a long time. Then let's make it 5 days. You're the one who needs to be punished, and you're the one who thinks that it's too long. No wonder you've comprehended the chaotic sword intent. Master Xiahou laughed. Yun Chuzhou laughed dryly, then, she bowed to Mountain Master Zhao with sincerity. Mountain Master Zhao, I'm really sorry. I was just being naughty just now. I didn't think that I would really steal the tablet. If I really wanted to steal it, I wouldn't have shouted, right? No matter what, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Mountain Master Zhao was extremely happy. How could he blame Yun Chuzhou? Furthermore, Yun Chuzhou's sincere apology caused him to put his unhappiness to the back of his mind. He felt that it wasn't bad for this little girl to know her mistakes and change them. Leng Kuei watched from the side. He felt that everyone present had been tricked by Yun Chuzhou. With her personality, how could she voluntarily go to the self-reflection cave? She must be up to something bad. However, Leng Kuei couldn't think of anything bad that could be done by going to the self-reflection cave, so he didn't say anything. Soon, law enforcement disciples came to escort Yun Chuzhou to the self-reflection cave. Since the self-reflection cave was at the back mountain of Fire Peak, it didn't take long for this fellow to be escorted to the self-reflection cave. The disciples on duty were stunned. Didn't this little girl come here a few hours ago to inquire about the self-reflection cave? Why did she commit a crime in such a short time? Yun Chuzhou laughed dryly. Coincidence, it's purely a coincidence. The disciples on duty took the document speechlessly and looked at it. Then, they said to Yun Chuzhou, Junior Sister Yun, the spiritual power attack in the first self-reflection cave is still relatively weak. You just need to be careful. There won't be any problems. Chapter 2733. Chapter 2733 has a time limit of 500 years. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, Thank you for your reminder, senior brother. It's getting late. Please hurry up and send me in. The disciple on duty, a white light flashed. When Yun Chuzhou regained her sight, she had already arrived at a cave. Just as Yun Chuzhou was about to take a good look at the self-reflection cave, earth thorns began to emerge from the ground. Yun Chuzhou was so shocked that she quickly moved around to dodge them. Just as the earth thorns disappeared, wind blades shot out from the four walls. Yun Chuzhou thought to herself as she dodged. This self-reflection cave was much more ingenious than the design of the self-reflection cave. It seemed that there was no way to dig the side walls. Fortunately, she did not go into the higher-level self-reflection cave. If she could not dig the cave, wouldn't she be looking for trouble? After the wind blades passed, another round of water arrows came. After the water arrows passed, the vines on the ground began to grow again. The vines were full of sharp thorns, and they bared their fangs and brandished their claws to entangle Yun Chuzhou. Finally, the vines were gone, and fireballs of various sizes were thrown at her again. She had just passed through the fireballs, and before she could catch her breath, a new round of wind blade attacks began. This fellow dodged while cursing in her heart. Oh my God, are you sure this is the number 1 self-reflection cave? Why does it feel like this spiritual energy attack is not weak at all? Moreover, why doesn't she even have time to rest? The few disciples guarding the teleportation array were chatting and laughing. One of the disciples accidentally saw the shadow stone beside the teleportation array and cried out in surprise. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, oh my God. What is going on? We clearly sent Yun Chujio to the number 1 self-reflection cave just now. Why is she in the number 11 self-reflection cave now? This is nothing. Look at the time limit. We set it for 5 days, but why is it 500 years now? Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this. The transportation array of the murderous origin sect was different from that of the chaos origin sect. It was one way and would only be released when the time limit was set. The little leader who was guarding the transportation array quickly formed a seal to shorten the time limit and then let Yun Chujio out. He didn't expect that after a while, the number on the shadow stone still remained stubbornly at 500 years, not moving at all. The little leader had a sad face as he reported the matter to the elders above. Master Xiahou and the others who had yet to return to their own courtyard rushed to the teleportation formation in the self-reflection cave. Leng Kuei thought to himself, he said that it was a jinx. Wherever there was a problem, there would be a problem. The teleportation formation in the self-reflection cave had not encountered any problems for tens of thousands of years. How could there be a problem today? Damn it! It would be better if she was locked up in there for 500 years. Otherwise, she would come out and harm their murderous Yuan sect. However, that little girl was a weakling. Not to mention 500 years, even 5 days would probably be difficult, right? That was the 11th self-reflection cave. While Leng Kuei vented his anger, he also felt a little bad. Although that little girl was a little annoying, it was quite pitiful for her to die just like that. The few peak masters tried to modify Yun Chujio's time limit, but they still failed. Master Xiahou felt his head buzzing. More things had happened on this day than what had happened in the entire Killing Origin sect in a year, and they were all extremely difficult problems. This self-reflection cave's teleportation array was designed by the founder of the mountain. Although it couldn't compare to the primordial chaos sect's ancient array, it couldn't be underestimated. These people only knew how to use it and couldn't break it at all. Could it be that they really wanted to lock that little girl up for 500 years? Putting aside those spiritual energy attacks, even if she was thirsty, she would still die of thirst. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have punished her to enter the self-reflection cave. Master Xiahou recalled that Yun Chujio had asked him for a voice transmission talisman. He hurriedly took out the voice transmission talisman and said, "That Yun Chujio, listen to me. There's a situation now." "What's the situation there?" A certain Jiu was trying her best to avoid the wind blades. After feeling the vibration of the sound transmission talisman, she quickly raised her spiritual energy shield and sent her spiritual sense into the sound transmission talisman. Yun Chujio's heart immediately turned cold when she heard Master Xiaohu's words. If it was just a small situation, it would be impossible to find Master Xiahou. Moreover, from the tone of old man Xiahou, he sounded guilty. What exactly happened? "Master, don't mention it. Ever since I entered, I have been attacked." "Are you sure that I entered the number 1 self-reflection cave?" "Well, Yun Chujio, there seems to be a problem with the teleportation array, so you are currently in the number 11 self-reflection cave. Also, your time limit has somehow become 500 years. However, don't worry, we are thinking of a way. We will definitely be able to save you." A certain Jiu almost fainted when she heard Master Xiaohu's words. 500 years. Was he treating her like a monkey? Monkey Sun had been suppressed for 500 years because he caused a ruckus in the heavenly court. She was very innocent, okay? She was here to look for Little Flame. Was there a need to lock her up for 500 years? If she was trapped here for 500 years, wouldn't the pretty boy be a bachelor for 500 years? This fellow wanted to give Master Xiahou a good scolding, but this fellow was very smart. Now that he had a request, it was better to tuck his tail between his legs. Thus, this fellow said pitifully, Master, I believe in you. However, my spiritual power is too weak, so I will try my best to hold on until you guys save me. If Yun Chuzhou vented her anger, Master Xiahou would feel better. He didn't expect the little girl to not make a fuss, which made him feel even more guilty. Everyone was thinking of a solution outside. Let's not talk about Unlucky Jiu for now. The spiritual power attack finally stopped temporarily. The unlucky child sat on the ground and panted heavily. The teleportation array would not have problems for no reason. It was either the array itself or man-made. However, the teleportation array was formed by several people at the same time, so it should be difficult to tamper with it. Then, the problem should be the array. Could it be that the Qi Ling had already been born? Yun Chuzhou also felt that it was unlikely. After all, the reflection cave of the primordial chaos sect was much older than this self-reflection cave. Even the reflection cave did not give birth to a Qi Ling, so it was even more impossible for it to give birth to a Qi Ling. Could it be that the formation was broken? Yun Chuzhou thought of her purpose for coming here again and hurriedly contacted the little flame. Although the little flame had yet to recognize its master, it might have stayed in Yun Chuzhou's body for a long time. If she were to carefully sense it, she could sense a faint connection. The little flame's cheerful mood was transmitted through her spiritual sense. Yun Chuzhou could not help but curse secretly. It was eating happily, but she was unlucky. A thought flashed through Yun Chuzhou's mind. She could not help but curse herself for being an idiot. Even if the little flame wanted to eat the 1,000-year-old fire marrow, it would not come to the self-reflection cave. It should go to the place where the 1,000-year-old fire marrow was buried. Moreover, the little flame might not be able to enter the self-reflection cave. She did not think it through clearly and turned into a demon to bring herself in. She was really out of her mind. This fellow did not waste the name of the self-reflection cave. After a moment of self-reflection, he looked around and prepared to save himself. Yun Chuzhou knew that there was an array formation on the side wall, so after she set up the spiritual energy barrier, she tentatively chopped down with the large kitchen knife. Sure enough, it was blocked by an invisible barrier, so the large kitchen knife was obviously not going to work. This guy's eyes rolled around. Barrier? What was the best way to break the barrier? Talisman. Coincidentally, she had a lot of talismans. Then what was she waiting for? Blow it up. Master Xiahou and company were busy discussing how to save Yun Chuzhou. Of course, it wasn't just for her. After all, this self-reflection cave was an important part of the sky-killing sect. If it failed, how would they punish their disciples in the future? At this moment, everyone heard a loud explosion from underground and could even feel the ground shaking. Mountain Master Zhao roared, "Earth Dragon Flip! It must be the Earth Dragon Flip! Quick, retreat!" Everyone immediately fell into chaos. Master Xiahou told everyone to stay calm. Even if it was the Earth Dragon Flip, as long as they didn't get injured by the Earth Qi, they would be fine. Only then did everyone calm down, but they were still panicking. Although cultivators were more powerful than mortals, in the end, they were not gods. When they encountered a natural disaster like the Earth Dragon's reversal, they were powerless. Moreover, every time the Earth Dragon's reversal occurred in the Immortal Essence continent, there would be a gush of Earth Qi. This kind of Earth Qi was very destructive. Even for a mighty figure like Master Xiaohu, if he encountered a large-scale explosion of earth qi, it would be a disaster. When the entire murderous origin sect heard the news of the earth dragon turning over, they were so scared that they quickly rode their swords into the air, ready to run for their lives at any time. Leng Kuei stood on the sword and felt that all of this was because of that disaster star, Yun Chuzhou. Thinking back to half a month ago, their murderous origin sect was so peaceful and peaceful. However, ever since that Yun Chuzhou came, something happened every 2 to 3 days. Now, even a natural disaster had appeared. When Leng Kuei thought of this, he looked at Master Xiaohu with resentment. Master Xiaohu was trying to calm everyone's emotions. When he felt Leng Kuei's gaze, he couldn't help but frown. Why did this child seem to have lost his mind recently? At this moment, the sound of an explosion came from underground again. Everyone's heart was in their throats. If it really was the earth dragon turning over, even if they could escape, the foundation of the murderous origin sect for tens of thousands of years would be destroyed in an instant. That would be a catastrophe for the murderous origin sect. Peak Master Mo of Water Mountain frowned. Sect Master, if an ordinary earth dragon turns over, it would definitely be accompanied by earth cracks. Moreover, the demonic beasts would also be terrified. However, there are no signs of such a thing happening right now. Therefore, I don't think it looks like the earth dragon turning over. The others had also calmed down at this moment. It really didn't seem like the earth dragon turning over. Then, what exactly was going on? Why was there such a huge explosion underground? Leng Kuei cried out in surprise, I know. It must be that Jinx Yun Chuzhou. Isn't she trapped in the self-reflection cave? She probably used a talisman to blow up the self-reflection cave. Everyone's first reaction was absurd. How could someone use a talisman to blow up the self-reflection cave? However, when they thought of the person Leng Kuei suspected and her usual actions, they couldn't help but feel that this statement was much more believable. Master Xiaohu quickly took out the voice transmission talisman. Yun Chuzhou, what are you doing? Are you really using the talisman to blow up your self-reflection hole? Not long after, the voice transmission talisman began to vibrate. Master Xiaohu hurriedly sent his spiritual sense into it, and Yun Chuzhia's sigh came from within. Master, I don't want to do this either. I'm also very helpless. But I think that it's best if you do what you can yourself. Anyway, I have nothing to do, so I'll try to blow it up. If I can get out, won't it save you guys from getting anxious? Besides, I really don't want to be trapped here for 500 years. I'm not Sun Monkey. Master Xiaohu's face was stiff. He didn't know what kind of mood he was in. Shocked? Angry? Surprised? Curious? He couldn't figure it out. Also, what did the little girl mean by Sun Monkey? His surname was Xiaohu. She said that she wasn't Sun Monkey. Did she mean that she wasn't his granddaughter? What a mess. Master Xiaohu calmed his emotions and said, everyone, don't worry. This is not the earth dragon turning over, it's Yun Chuzhou using the talisman to blow up the self-reflection cave. Everyone, return to normal order. Everyone was furious. This Yun Chuzhou was really too good at playing tricks. Even if she was locked up in the self-reflection cave, she could still create such a big commotion. No wonder the primordial chaos sect was eager to bring her into their murderous origin sect. Their master Xiaohu was really too naive. Master, do you think that Yun Chuzhou can really blow up the self-reflection cave? I think it's quite difficult. If it were that easy to blow up, the self-reflection cave wouldn't have existed for tens of thousands of years, said Peak Master Mo of the Water Mountain. Leng Kuei cursed silently at the side. That was because he hadn't met that disaster, Yun Chuzhou. If he had met her, not to mention the self-reflection cave, any cave would have been blown up by her. Master Xiahou didn't say anything. He felt that his brain wasn't enough. This day had been too exciting. He was getting old, and he really couldn't bear it. Boom! Boom! The sound of continuous explosions came from underground. He didn't know how many talismans Yun Chuzhou had, but the explosions continued even after such a long time. A certain Jiu in the self-reflection cave had her ears tightly wrapped so that she wouldn't be damaged by the loud noise. Then, she threw stack after stack of explosive talismans on the side wall. Finally, the barrier was broken. There was no need to mention this guy's complacency. Did you see that? As expected, it was better to have more skills than to have more talismans prepared. It was still useful at critical moments. This guy went to the gap of the barrier and took a look. The rocks on the wall were just ordinary rocks. As long as Xiao Hei moved its claws, she could get out. Just when this guy was feeling complacent, a white light suddenly flashed in front of his eyes. When he regained his sight, if he did not have a defensive spiritual artifact on him to block it, this guy would have been shot like a hedgehog. Yun Chuzhou felt as if 10,000 divine beasts were whizzing past her heart. What the fuck? You can't bully people like that. She had actually been teleported to another self-reflection cave. Although she did not know what level it was, judging from the strength of the spiritual power attack, it would only be higher than number 11 and not lower than number 11. At this moment, Master Xiaohu's voice transmission talisman began to vibrate. After Yun Chuzhou sent her spiritual sense in, she heard Master Xiahou ask anxiously, "How is it? Has the enchantment been blown up?" Yun Chuzhou wanted to cry, but no tears came out. "Master, tell me, how many self-reflection caves are there? I think, if I want to go out, I will probably have to blow up all the self-reflection caves." Outside, when Master Xiahou received Yun Chuzhou's voice transmission talisman, his body tilted and he almost fainted. Master, what happened to you? What did that disaster say?" Leng Kuei held Master Xiahou and asked anxiously. The other 4 peak masters also looked at Master Xiahou. They had a bad premonition in their hearts. Since Master Xiahou could lose his composure like this, something very serious must have happened. Master Xiahou looked at the crowd with lifeless eyes and said with a sobbing voice, "The self-reflection cave is going to be destroyed. The self-reflection cave that has existed for tens of thousands of years is going to be destroyed by me." "Master, if that Yun Chuzhou wanted to blow up, shouldn't she just blow up the 11th self-reflection cave? How could other self-reflection caves be destroyed?" Leng Kuei asked in confusion. Master Xiahou gritted his teeth and said, "She told me that she was sent to another self-reflection cave. She even asked me how many self-reflection caves there were. She also said that if she wanted to come out, she would have to blow up all the self-reflection caves." While everyone was shocked, they were very puzzled. Under normal circumstances, couldn't they only be sent to the self-reflection caves through a teleportation array? After Yun Chuzhou blew up the 11th self-reflection cave, how could she be sent to another self-reflection cave? However, now was not the time to discuss the reason. Could it be that they could only watch as the self-reflection caves were blown up? Letting the foundation of the Shi Yuan sect that had existed for tens of thousands of years be destroyed just like that? "Sect Master, we must stop Yun Chuzhou. We can't let her continue to blow up. We just need to think of a way to save her," said Peak Master Mo of Water Mountain. Master Xiahou looked at him with a hopeless expression. "Stop her? How? Do you think she will listen to me if I don't let her blow up?" Peak Master Mo choked. "That's right. If he were in their shoes, he would also blow up if he was trapped inside and knew that he would only be released after 500 years. Peak Master who had been silent all this time, said tentatively, "Sect Master, I think that little girl may be willful, but she seems to be a soft-hearted person. Why don't you use some soft words to comfort her? Maybe we can use this time to think of a way to save her. Everyone felt that this method was feasible and nodded in agreement. Master Xiahou had no choice but to take out the voice transmission talisman and said to Yun Chujiu in an extremely gentle voice, "Master Xiahou, don't blow yourself up. Yun, that little ninth girl, I understand your eagerness to come out, but this self-reflection cave is the foundation of our Killing Yuan sect that has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Can you not blow it up for the time being? Give us some time. If we can't think of a way to save you, can you blow it up again?" After Master Xiahou finished speaking, he nervously stared at the voice transmission talisman in his hand. The others also waited nervously. They didn't know if that reckless little girl would give Master Xiahou face. After waiting for a long time, the voice transmission talisman finally trembled. Master Xiahou couldn't wait to send his spiritual sense in. From inside came Yun Chujia's powerful words. "Master, look at what you said. I am also a member of the murderous origin sect. I also have the responsibility to protect the foundation of our murderous origin sect. However, you also know that my spiritual power is low, and I don't know how many self-reflection holes I have now. Anyway, I don't think I can hold on for too long, so you guys should quickly think of a way. At most, half a day's time. If you guys don't have any good ideas, I can only blow up the holes." Master Xiahou was almost moved to tears. Although this Yun Chujiu was usually unimportant, she still had a good view of the big picture at the critical moment. Master Xiahou relayed Yun Chujia's words to everyone. Everyone sighed. The crux of the problem now was how to save Yun Chujiu. If they couldn't save her, there would still be a hole in the end. Everyone discussed and even invited the Grand Elder out, but there was still no solution. Half a day was about to pass. Everyone looked at each other. What should they do? Leng Kuei said from the side, "Master, that Yun Chujiu is a person who is willing to sacrifice her life and money. If you promise her a large sum of money, she will definitely agree to extend the time." Master Xiahou was skeptical. Although he heard that the little girl was greedy, she was now trapped in the self-reflection cave. Would she extend the time for the spirit stones? Master Xiahou was determined to give it a try. He took out the voice transmission talisman and asked Yun Chujiu, "Well, little Jiu, although you gave us half a day, we haven't found a solution yet. Can we extend the time? Don't worry, I won't let you suffer in vain. The sect will give you spirit stones as compensation. What do you think?" The voice transmission talisman soon trembled. Master Xiahou sent his spiritual sense in and heard Yun Chujia's righteous voice, "Master Xiahou, what are you saying? Do you think I'm a greedy person? Without money, can't people communicate with each other? Well, how much do you plan to give me?" Master Xiahou almost burst into tears when he heard that, but he almost threw away his voice transmission talisman in anger. This little girl, she was greedy for money, but she had to say a bunch of high-sounding words. She was really crafty. In the end, the two of them bargained and made a deal with Chen Shi at the price of 2 hours and 10 high-grade spirit stones. Master Xiahou also understood that the little girl wanted money because she was afraid that they would delay and not save her. If she really wanted money that badly, she could have asked for more. Although they had spent money to buy time, the people of the primordial killing sect were still at a loss. It seemed that there was no other way to save Yun Chujiu except to blow up a hole. At this moment, someone reported that Master Bailey of the primordial killing sect had arrived. Master Xiaohu's mood was very complicated. Not long ago, he had gone to the primordial killing sect to watch the show. He did not expect that the tide would turn now. It was the turn of that old geezer, Bai Liyin, to laugh at the primordial killing sect. Master Bailey's reason was very dignified. Yun Chujiu was also a disciple of the primordial chaos sect. When she was in trouble, the the primordial chaos sect naturally could not sit idly by. Master Bailey even brought Elder Jing here because Elder Jing was the person with the highest attainments in formations of the primordial chaos sect. Although Elder Jing had been tormented by Yun Chujiu the last time, compared to Yun Chujiu being trapped in the cave of self-reflection, he was more willing to strangle her to death with his own hands. Master Xiahou brought the two of them to the teleportation formation in the cave of self-reflection. Elder Jing and the elders of the Killing Origin sect who were proficient in formations discussed how to break the teleportation formation. Master Bailey chatted with Master Xiahou casually. Master Xiahou, how come I haven't seen you for a few days? You look much more haggard. Master Xiahou snorted coldly, why ask when you already know? Let's make a deal first. When the 3-month period is up, I will send this Yun Chujiu back to your primordial chaos sect. In the future, don't come to our killing primordial sect. She was originally a member of your primordial chaos sect. Master Bailey glanced at him. Master Xiahou, this person doesn't stand by his words. We had an agreement back then that we would split the treasure we dug up with half of our family. Therefore, this Yun Chujiu will be a disciple of our two sects in the future. Moreover, I also advised you not to bring Yun Chujiu back. You didn't listen. It's too late to regret now. Master Xiahou was speechless. If he had known that this was a troublemaker, he wouldn't have brought her back to the Shi Yuan sect even if he had to pay for it. He was wrong. He should never have brought this scourge back to the Shi Yuan sect. He was the sinner of the Shi Yuan sect. It was easy to invite the gods, but hard to send them away. It seemed that there was no way to return this bad news bag. The only consolation was that she did not only harm their Shi Yuan sect, but also the Hun Yuan sect. A certain Jiu did not know that she had already been despised. This fellow was currently in a self-reflection cave, trying to figure out how to get out. She did not have much hope for Master Xiahou and the others. After all, this was a formation from tens of thousands of years ago. Even if she could find a way to break it, it would take at least a year or so. She still had a lot of things to do. She still had a date with the pretty boy. She didn't want to be trapped here. Moreover, the spiritual attacks from time to time were really deadly. Even if she had a lot of defensive spirit tools, she couldn't waste them like this. Blowing up the holes was the worst plan because according to Master Xiahou, there were a total of 20 self-reflection holes. If all of them were blown up, it would probably take several days. Moreover, talisman seals were free, and talisman papers were not cheap, okay? In the end, how could she get out? Yun Chujiu frowned and thought about it. The crux of the problem was, what exactly caused her to be locked up for 500 years? Also, why was she transferred to this self-reflection cave after she blew up the 11th self-reflection cave? Everything in the world had a cause and effect. Who was the one who caused the trouble? Yun Chujiu felt that there should not be any weapon spirits in the self-reflection cave because none of the weapon spirits would allow her to blow up the self-reflection cave without taking action. Then, what exactly was going on? Yun Chujiu recalled the incident in the ancient sword tomb. Back then, the ancient sword tomb suddenly collapsed. Although no reason was found after that, it was highly likely that the Divine Devil Hall had done something to it. Could it be that the Divine Devil Hall did something to it again? This made sense. That elderly from the Chaos Origin sect was a member of the Divine Devil Hall. Perhaps, there were people from the Divine Devil Hall in the Murder Origin sect as well. When he learned that she would be locked in the self-reflection cave, he tampered with the formation of the self-reflection cave. After all, the people from the Divine Devil Hall seemed to be very proficient in the ancient formation. In that case, if he wanted to get out, the breakthrough point should not be placed on the teleportation array, but on the array formation in the cave of introspection. Yun Chujiu told Master Xiahou about her guess, and Master Xiahou was shocked. He had no idea who was the spy in the sect now. Moreover, most importantly, for so many years, they only knew the location of the teleportation array, and did not know where the array disk of the Cave of Introspection was. Yun Chujiu secretly thought that it must have been because Hong Yuan old group was in a hurry to find Patriarch Yuan Tian to compete with him back then, so there were many things that they did not explain clearly. For example, the location of the formation disk of the introspection cave, or the plaque on Jin Feng. Perhaps there were still many unsolved cases in the Killing Origin sect. Yun Chujiu sighed. Since she could not find the location of the formation disk, it seemed that there was no other way except to blow up the cave. Although she would definitely waste a lot of talismans, her life was still more important, wasn't it? Yun Chujiu decided to give Master Xiahou some more time. In any case, she didn't need these few hours. Outside the self-reflection cave, Elder Jing was studying the teleportation formation with a few elders of the Shi Yuan sect who were proficient in formations. Elder Jing frowned. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with this teleportation formation. Can someone demonstrate the process of forming the seal for me to take a look? Of course, this wasn't a big problem, so an elder called over the people guarding the teleportation formation and asked them to demonstrate. Those people quickly came over to demonstrate. They also hoped that the teleportation formation could be repaired. After all, guarding the teleportation formation was a good job, and it would be a pity to lose it. The few disciples guarding the teleportation formation saw Yun Chujiu's reflection on the shadow stone, so they started to form seals. Of course, they didn't have any hope of getting Yun Chujiu out. They only wanted Elder Jing to see how they formed the seals. However, after they finished forming the seals, a little girl appeared in the middle of the teleportation formation with a dumbfounded expression. Yun Chujiu looked at the crowd with a blank expression. Did you guys fix the teleportation formation? Master Xiahou, Master Bailey, everyone, what the hell? How did this teleportation formation suddenly come into use? Yun Chujiu saw Elder Jing at a glance. She was so moved that tears welled up in her eyes. Elder Jing, I knew that a good person like you would forget about the past and save me. Did you fix the teleportation formation? I knew that your attainments in formations were unprecedented. Elder Jing's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He felt that this was the worst time he had ever been defamed. He clearly didn't do anything right. That wasn't right. This was also indirectly his credit. After all, if he hadn't asked those disciples to demonstrate the teleportation formation, Yun Chujiu wouldn't have been able to come out. Elder Jing snorted coldly. You don't have to thank me. This formation suddenly became normal. I don't know what happened either. Yun Chujiu suddenly became normal. What kind of trick was this? Could it be that the people of the Divine Devil Hall had a conscience? This was simply impossible. It seemed that it was not the Divine Devil Hall's fault. What exactly was going on? Everyone present was confused. However, no matter what, Yun Chujiu was safely rescued and her self-reflection cave was also saved. This was a good thing for everyone. Master Xiahou finally let out a sigh of relief. Although he could not find the problem with the self-reflection cave for the time being, at least he did not let the little girl blow up all the self-reflection caves. He was thankful to the heavens. Since there was nothing else, Master Bailey proposed to take his leave. Master Xiahou and he hated each other, so he did not urge him to stay any longer. He looked at Yun Chujiu who was standing beside him. Then, he said, Yun Chujiu, it just so happens that Master Bailey is returning to the Primordial Chaos sect. Do you want to go back and take a look as well? Your fellow disciples must miss you very much. Before Yun Chujiu could say anything, Master Bailey said, Little girl, Jin Ji and the others are doing well. You can rest assured and cultivate in the Primordial Murder sect. If the 3 months are up, if you still want to stay in the Primordial Murder sect, I believe Master Xiahou won't object. Bai Liyin, what are you talking about? We agreed to rotate once every 3 months. If it's 3 months, how can she still stay in the primordial murder sect? Xiahou Lin, I was just saying that. Look at your anxious and pale face. You're really lacking in manners. Yun Chujiu looked left and right. Why did it sound like she didn't want her? Was she being looked down on? Damn it. This was outrageous. She was her ancestor. How dare she look down on her? Let's wait and see. Master Bailey said a few words to Master Xiahou, then left with Elder Jing in a hurry. Yun Chujiu pursed her lips. Was she afraid that she would go back with him? She didn't do anything that angered the heavens or angered the people. Besides, she was still very low-key in the primordial chaos sect. Why did she dislike her so much? Just as Yun Chujiu was cursing in her heart, she heard Master Xiahou say, Yun Chujiu, try to move around the big kitchen in the future. This will be good for you and everyone else. The corner of Yun Chujiu's eyes twitched violently. Was this a disguised form of grounding? In your dreams. Master, did I do something wrong? Why didn't you let me go around? Yun Chujiu asked pitifully. Master Xiahou coughed dryly. You didn't do anything wrong, but, as you can see, everywhere you go, it doesn't seem to be peaceful. In doing this for your own good. What if something happens again? Master Sect Leader, I can't agree with your words. First, these things are purely coincidental. Second, I didn't cause any trouble, I've made a meritorious deed. I won't say much about the Fire Peak plaque, they'll just talk about this self-reflection cave. If I didn't test the cave, would you know that this self-reflection cave is crazy? If others were to be locked up, they might end up in it for the rest of their lives. Besides, in order to protect my cave of self-reflection, I am willing to suffer in the cave. Oh right, Master Sect Leader, shouldn't we calculate the spirit stones? At this point, he remembered that there was still money to be confiscated. Master Xiahou laughed, well, what you said makes sense. Just be careful in the future. Also, as for the spirit stones, because you blew up a cave of self-reflection, we are even. I remember that I still have something important to do. Let's talk about it later. After Master Xiahou finished speaking, he left in a hurry. Yun Chujiu, was old man Xiahou trying to renege on his debt? When the others saw that Master Xiahou had left, they also found excuses to escape. Only Leng Kuei and the few disciples guarding the teleportation array were left. Leng Kuei glared at Yun Chujiu fiercely. Yun Chujiu, if I were you, I would stay in the dormitory obediently so that I wouldn't cause harm to others and myself. Yun Chujiu did not want to hang him up. She glanced at him. What harm did I do to you? If it weren't for me, would Fire Peak have made such a big discovery? If it weren't for me, you might have been punished to reflect on yourself one day and be imprisoned for 500 years. How could Leng Kuei beat Yun Chujiu? He was so angry that he almost vomited blood and left in a huff. Yun Chujiu rubbed her chin and pondered. She did not dare to enter the self-reflection cave anymore. It was better to wait for the little flame nearby. After such a long time, it should be back soon. Therefore, Yun Chujiu sat on a recliner not far from the teleportation array and basked in the sun. The few disciples guarding the teleportation array were scared stiff. What was this Yun Chujiu up to this time? What was she doing there? While Yun Chujiu was resting with her eyes closed, she sensed the little flame getting closer and closer with her spiritual sense. She was afraid that the little flame would be discovered by the disciples, so she quickly found a slightly remote place. Just as the little flame was looking around, a red light jumped into her right palm. The little flame was afraid of being discovered, so it quickly returned to its own courtyard. Although the little flame was not very intelligent, Yun Chujio could still feel its excitement. When it entered the house, the little flame jumped out from its right palm and floated in front of Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio guessed and understood what the little flame meant. It meant that it had found several thousand-year-old fire pith and fought with them for a long time. In the end, it won. Yun Chujio had a flash of inspiration. The place where the thousand-year-old fire pith was found was most likely near the formation plate. Could it be that the formation plate had a seizure because it was affected by the little flame and the others? The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that her analysis made sense. Then, the problem was, did she deserve it? Yun Chujio felt a little guilty for some reason. Fortunately, she blamed the divine devil hall, or else she would be beaten up even more. Yun Chujio felt that it was necessary to educate the little flame. She could not always run around without organization or discipline. Little flame, I'm warning you. If you run away without saying goodbye in the future, I won't want you anymore. You will become a lonely soul in the future. It was unknown whether the little flame understood or not, but it crawled into Yun Chujio's right palm with a drooping head. Yun Chujio did not dare to sleep last night, so she simply washed up and lay on the bed to fall asleep. She slept until the next morning. After washing up, she went to the kitchen to show off her power, and then she thought about where to go for a walk. The Golden Peak and the Fire Peak were almost done, so she would go to the Wood Peak for a walk. When Yun Chujio reached the entrance of the Wood Peak, she saw many signs at the entrance. Yun Chujio is not allowed to enter. Yun Chujio is the most unwelcome person in our Wood Peak. For the sake of your safety and the safety of others, please stay away from Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio's nose was almost crooked from anger. This was blatant discrimination. What was wrong with her? Why was she forbidden to enter the Wood Peak? Why was she unwelcome? The most infuriating thing was that there was an additional fence at the entrance of the Wood Peak. It was obviously to prevent fire, theft, and Yun Chujio. When the servants guarding the fence saw Yun Chujio coming, they looked as if they were facing a great enemy. They shouted loudly, "Yun Chujio, didn't you see the sign we put up? Step back quickly, we don't welcome you in the Wood Peak." If Yun Chujio believed in evil, she wouldn't be Yun Chujio. She sneered and kicked the signs to pieces. Are you guys sick? Did I steal your Wood Peak's grass or burn your Wood Peak's mountain? The sect master didn't forbid me to go anywhere. Don't tell me that your Wood Peak still wants to be independent. Is this your decision or Mountain Master Ren's idea? Those odd job workers had never seen such a valiant girl before. They were all dumbfounded. One of them took out his identity jade token and seemed to be sending a message to someone. Yun Chujio curled her lips. She did not think that Mountain Master Ren of the Wood Peak had the leisure to target her. It must be some bastard who did not like her. Not long after, a female disciple wearing the uniform of an inner sect disciple walked over. A few male disciples followed beside her with fawning expressions. Yun Chujio had not been in the Shi Yuan sect for long, so she did not know these people. She crossed her arms and looked at them calmly. The female disciple sized up Yun Chujio. Are you that disaster star, Yun Chujio? If I were you, I would stay in the dormitory obediently to avoid being annoying. Io, you still want to be shameless? If you were me. You look like a toad, can you be compared to me? You are really shameless. The female disciple was instantly killed by a certain Jiu. That female disciple was so angry that her face turned red. With a ferocious expression, she said, Yun Chujio, you don't want to be shameless. This is our Wood Peak's territory, get lost. Or else, a certain Jiu held a basket in her left hand and a basket in her right hand, interrupting that female disciple's words, or else what? Enter the competition stage. I can't wait for that. Come, it's you. Let's go, follow me to the competition stage. These 2 baskets of talismans shouldn't be a problem to deal with you, right? The female disciple saw the talismans in the 2 baskets and subconsciously took a few steps back. Didn't they say that Yun Chujio used a lot of talismans in the self-reflection cave? Why were there so many? Did she bring all the talismans from her shop? A hawk-nosed person next to the female disciple said disdainfully, Yun Chujio, what kind of ability do you think you can rely on talismans? If you have the ability, don't use talismans. Let's use spiritual power to compete. Yun Chujio looked at the hawk-nosed disciple as if he was an idiot. Are you out of your mind? If I have talismans, why don't I use them? What? Do you want to fight on behalf of your beloved? Sure, you can too. Let's go. Follow me to the competition stage. The male disciple shook his head like a rattledrum. What a joke. He was not stupid. If he went up, he would be looking for trouble. He would not go. Yun Chujio pointed at the other male disciples. If he doesn't go, do you guys want to go? Anyway, I'm very bored now. I'll let you guys experience the power of the talisman seal. The male disciples looked around but did not look at Yun Chujio. Clearly, they did not want to bring trouble upon themselves. TSK, that little guy. I feel sad for you. You said that your admirers are more cowardly than one. Then, it's you. Let's go and play on the competition stage. Yun Chujio hooked her finger at the female disciple. The female disciple bit her lips and ran away with her mouth covered. The male disciples glared at Yun Chujio angrily and followed behind her, calling her junior sister Shanshan. Apparently, they were trying to curry favor with her. Yun Chujio looked away and looked at the servants. When the servants saw that the inner disciples had been scared away, how would they dare to stop them? They hurriedly removed the guardrail and said with a smile, Junior Sister Yun, we are also following orders. Please show mercy and spare us. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Who is that ugly freak? The corners of the servants' eyes twitched. One of the servants replied, that is Chu Shanshan, an inner disciple of our wood peak. Just an inner disciple. What kind of backing does she have? Yun Chujio did not think that an inner disciple would dare to do such a thing. Her biological brother, Chu Quan, is the true disciple of Mountain Master Ren. Therefore, we don't dare to offend her. One of the servants said submissively. Is that all? What else? Why is she targeting me? This is just a guess. I heard that Chu Shanshan has always been in love with senior brother Len Kuei. Recently, someone said that junior sister Yun is very close to senior brother Len Kuei. I guess she is jealous. Yun Chujio was baffled. She was close to Len Kuei. They did not like each other, okay? This was an unexpected disaster. Yun Chujio gave a few perfunctory words to the servants before entering the wood peak. The disciples of the wood peak basically all had wood element's spiritual roots, so the scenery of the wood peak was very beautiful. As Yun Chujio strolled around, she forgot about what had just happened. However, no matter how beautiful the scenery was, after seeing it for too long, she would get tired of it. Just as she was about to go to the neighboring water mountain for a stroll, she saw many disciples of the wood peak running towards a direction in a hurry. Yun Chujio's eyes immediately lit up. According to her experience, the places where people gathered were either lively to watch or had treasures. No matter which one it was, Yun Chujio would naturally not miss it. She also followed the crowd and ran forward. When Yun Chujio heard everyone running and talking about eggs, she couldn't help but feel puzzled. Eggs? Could it be that a demon beast had laid an egg? Did a demon beast need to be so sensational to lay an egg? This fellow didn't dare to ask, because this fellow knew his own limits. Now that her reputation wasn't too good, it would be bad if she was chased out again. Yun Chujio followed the crowd and ran all the way to the back mountain of the wood peak. When Yun Chujio arrived, there were already many disciples of the wood peak gathered there. Their goal was obviously a huge tree in front of them. However, to be precise, it was a huge vine. Yun Chujio had read quite a few magazine articles in the library of the Primordial Chaos sect. She had actually seen the introduction of this vine. This vine was called thorn. That's right, there was only one word in its name. It could be said that this name was very appropriate because the leaves of this vine were like sharp thorns. Moreover, there were barbs on the thorns. If it was within its attack range, it could be said that there was only a slim chance of survival. The reason why everyone could be at ease and boldly surround that vine was because there was a formation barrier around the vine, so it had no way of attacking everyone. Yun Chujio understood the purpose of their visit after some thought. The egg they were talking about should be the seed of this vine. The seed of this vine was very special. It was like an egg with a white shell on the outside and only a few dozen seeds inside. The people of Wood Peak basically had wood-type spiritual roots. Their attack method was to accelerate the growth of the seeds and then attack. Therefore, they were naturally very interested in the seeds of this vine. It was said that this vine only bloomed once every 1,000 years. Moreover, the flowering period was less than an hour. After the flower withered, it would directly bear the seeds. This could also explain why the disciples of the Wood Peak rushed over. They were afraid that others would get there first and would not be able to snatch more seeds. Yun Chujio discovered that these people also had their own way of standing. The inner disciples stood at the front, which was also the most advantageous position. Next were the outer disciples. As for the servants, they were already very far away from the vine. Yun Chujio was looking around when sect leader Ren of the Wood Peak arrived. Behind sect leader Ren were a few elders of the Wood Peak and their core disciples. Chu Shanshan was standing beside a male disciple. It was probably her brother, Chu Quan. Although Chu Shanshan was an inner disciple, because of Chu Quan, the other core disciples didn't say anything. After all, there were many seeds on the vines, so she wasn't alone. Chu Shanshan's face was very proud. She felt that as long as she worked hard and had her brother's help to put in some good words, she might be able to become a successive disciple. Just as Chu Shanshan was feeling proud, she glanced around and saw Yun Chujio in the crowd. Chu Shanshan recalled Yun Chujio's words that had humiliated her, and her eyes immediately flashed with anger. She pretended to be unintentional and said, "Brother, look, isn't that Yun Chujio? Why is she here? She's not here to cause trouble, right? Shanshan, don't talk nonsense. Junior sister Yun is probably just curious and came to watch the show." Chu Quan had heard Chu Shanshan talking about how she was bullied by Yun Chujio, therefore, he looked at Yun Chujio with a hostile gaze. However, he was much more shrewd than Chu Shanshan. Humph. Isn't the reason why she turned the self-reflection cave upside down because she's curious? In any case, she's a jinx, Chu Shanshan said indignantly. What jinx? It's just a coincidence. Chu Quan raised his voice. It seemed like he was angry that Chu Shanshan had said something so rude, but he said it for Mountain Master Ren and the other elders to hear. The thorn was a major event that happened once every 1,000 years on the Wood Peak. Naturally, Mountain Master Ren did not want anything to go wrong. Hence, after listening to Chu Quan's words, he turned his head and saw a certain Jiao who was trying her best to reduce her presence. Mountain Master Ren frowned. Sometimes, it was better to believe in something than to not believe in something. Strange things happened frequently wherever Yun Chujio went. If she delayed the collection of the thorn seeds, things would not be good. The thorn seeds were different from other demon seeds. They had to be stored in the storage ring before they landed. Otherwise, they would instantly turn into powder. Therefore, no accidents were allowed. Although Mountain Master Ren thought so, as the Mountain Master, he was too embarrassed to chase Yun Chujio away. Therefore, he did not stop Chu Shanshan's words. He thought that it was possible to use her to chase Yun Chujio away. When Chu Quan saw that Mountain Master Ren did not say anything, he understood a little. Therefore, when Chu Shanshan walked towards Yun Chujio to pick a fight, he did not stop her. "Hey, Yun Chujio, did you not hear what I just said? Don't come and harm our wood peak, you jinx, get lost. If you delay our wood peak in collecting the eggs, you will be a great sinner of our wood peak." Chu Shanshan was now much more confident than before, hence, her attitude became even more arrogant. The reason why the people of Wood Peak called the thorn seeds eggs was firstly because they were similar in shape. Secondly, they were afraid that if they said it, they would not be able to harvest the seeds. This was also a kind of psychological hint. If it was in the past, Yun Chujio would be very happy to play with this little bitch. Now, she could not be bothered with this little grasshopper. She did not even glance at Chu Shanshan. Instead, she walked directly to Mountain Master Ren. "Mountain Master Ren, I want to watch the show." "You won't forbid it, right? It's such a big event. After I watch it, I can return to the Primordial Chaos sect to show off, right?" Yun Chujio said mischievously. Although Mountain Master Ren was 100 times unhappy, he was afraid that this fellow would go back to the Primordial Chaos sect to ridicule him. He could only say against his will, "Of course not. If you're willing to watch it, then just watch it." Mountain Master Ren thought for a moment before adding, "The position here is good. Just stand by my side." The reason why Mountain Master Ren added this sentence was because he felt that Yun Chujio could not cause trouble under his nose. This way, he would be able to feel at ease. Yun Chujio was not stupid. Naturally, she knew what Mountain Master Ren meant. She obediently stood by Mountain Master Ren's side and watched as the flower buds on the thorns began to bloom. Chu Shanshan was so angry that she stomped her feet. However, she did not dare to act rashly in front of Mountain Master Ren. She could only glare at Yun Chujio's back fiercely. In her heart, she hated Yun Chujio to death. Chu Quan did not expect Yun Chujio to say a few words and make Mountain Master Ren agree to let her stay. Moreover, she even occupied a good position. He was also very depressed. Yun Chujio did not have the time to care whether they were depressed or not. At this moment, she was stunned by the beautiful scene in front of her. The flower bud on the thorn seemed to bloom at the same time. There was a touch of red in the middle of the snow-white flower. It was holy and had a hint of charm. It was a rare beautiful scene. The trees were full of flowers. TSK, who would have thought that the flower bud that bloomed was actually the sinister thorn? As expected, there were two sides to everything. This guy could see some life enlightenment from the flower. He even felt that he was awesome. This guy looked at it and exclaimed, "Eh? That flower's heart is black. Is it a mutation?" Chu Shanshan had wanted to find fault with Yun Chujio for a long time. When she heard Yun Chujio's words, she had a look of disdain on her face. "If your eyesight is bad, then don't talk. And you're a black-hearted man. I think your heart is black." The little black bird in Yun Chujio's spiritual beast bag nodded desperately. This little bitch's words were quite reasonable. Xiao Hanio's heart was indeed black. When Chu Shanshan saw Yun Chujio squeaking, she said even more contemptuously, "Yun Chujio, if I were you, I would just watch obediently. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense." The heart of the flower that is pricked has always been red. I've never heard of it being black." Before Chu Shanshan could finish her words, everyone exclaimed one after another, "Oh my God, that flower's heart is really black. How is this possible?" Chu Shanshan looked in the direction that everyone was pointing at and saw that there was indeed a flower with a black heart in the middle of the tree full of flowers. Chu Shanshan's face instantly turned as red as a monkey's butt. She felt so embarrassed. She did not blame herself. She blamed everything on Yun Chujio. Therefore, she raised her voice. She said sarcastically, "Humph. I've never heard that thorns can produce black-hearted flowers. This must be because of you, a jinx. Get lost quickly, or else all the flowers might turn black." "Shut up." An elder interrupted Chu Shanshan unhappily. "What do you know? Do you know what a black-hearted flower means? If you don't know, then don't talk nonsense." Chu Shanshan's face turned pale. She had never been reprimanded so severely. Her eyes immediately turned red. She wanted to argue a little, but was pulled by Chu Quan. Only then did she bite her lips and stop talking. Chu Quan intended to help his sister out of the situation. He respectfully said to the elder, "Elder Zhou, I have never heard of a thorny flower with a black heart. Please explain to us." Elder Zhou clearly had a good impression of Chu Quan. His expression softened a little, then, he said, "You all know that if a thorny seed is not treated, it will turn into powder if it falls to the ground. Have you ever thought about how a thorny seed reproduces?" Chu Quan was stunned. "Elder Zhou, isn't it said that the thorn is unable to reproduce, so we are the only thorn left?" Elder Zhou waved his hand. "You only know the first part, but you don't know the second part. The reason why a thorn cannot reproduce is because there is no way to form a black egg. Only the seed inside the black egg can be used to reproduce. And that black-hearted flower is very likely to form a black egg." Everyone cried out in surprise. So that was how it was. Elder Zhou's words were like a hard slap on Chu Shanshan's face. She even said that Yun Chujio was a jinx. This was clearly a lucky star, all right. If she could really bear a black egg, when the time came, she could breed more thorns. In the future, Wood Peak's strength would definitely increase greatly. Chu Shanshan wished that she could find a hole in the ground to hide in. In her heart, she hated Yun Chujio even more. She felt that all of this was caused by her. At this moment, the flowers on the tree began to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye, and countless eggs began to form. Among the many white eggs, there was a black egg that was particularly eye-catching. Mountain Master Ren and the few elders were so excited that they were trembling slightly. The few of them discussed it. The black egg was too important, so when the egg fell off, their task was to catch the black egg. The egg on the vine quickly began to grow and mature. Gradually, some of the eggs began to fall off. The inner disciples who were close to it began to leap up to catch the eggs. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Yun Chujio was rather eager to give it a try. However, this fellow was afraid that his reputation would be added to the mix, so he resisted the temptation and did not make a move. After coming over for a while, this fellow saw that Mountain Master Ren's attention was all on the black egg. He gritted his teeth. After all, reputation could not be used as food, so spirit stones were more important. These spiky eggs would definitely sell for a good price. It would be a waste not to snatch them. Thus, this fellow jumped up and down to catch the eggs that fell down. As this fellow stood at the front, it didn't take long for him to catch a few eggs. This fellow felt that this trip to Wood Peak wasn't in vain. He had really struck it rich. After the white egg fell down, the black egg fell down. Mountain Master Ren and the others had been watching closely, so they immediately jumped up to catch the black egg. This was originally a very stable arrangement. The disciples of Wood Peak would not have the guts to cause trouble. However, no one had expected that Yun Chujio would suddenly appear out of nowhere. She suddenly jumped up, caught the black egg, stuffed it into her mouth, and swallowed it. The scene was dead silent at first, and then it exploded. What does this Yun Chujio want to do? She actually swallowed the black egg. Isn't she afraid of choking to death? I told you, she was sent by the Hun Yuan sect to harm our Shi Yuan sect. It's true, right? Peak Master, she just swallowed the seed. She must have not digested it yet. It's still not too late to cut open her stomach. Yun Chujia's face was stiff. Could it be that she told everyone that the she just now was not her? Yun Chujio cursed the Guai Chao in her dantian. At that moment, Go Weiba suddenly took control of her body. When she was done causing trouble, it returned the control of her body to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was so depressed that she wanted to vomit blood. Other people's treasures were called treasures, but her treasures were all fucking scams. She had just been swindled by the little flame, and now she was swindled by Go Weiba. Was there such a miserable master in this world? In her dantian, Guai Chao was so beautiful that it was bubbling. She didn't expect that there would be an unexpected surprise. The seed of the thorn couldn't be seen once in hundreds of thousands of years. This was a great tonic. Mountain Master Ren stared at Yun Chujio with a gloomy expression. If it wasn't for Yun Chujia's special identity, he really planned to cut open her belly and take out the seed of the thorn. What did the thorny seeds mean? If they had those seeds, the wood peak could reproduce several thorny seeds, which would greatly increase the strength of the wood peak. However, all of this was ruined by this scourge. Mountain Master Ren could control his anger, but it didn't mean that the other elders could control their anger. One of the elders, Elder Wei, reached out and grabbed Yun Chujio. Spit it out. Spit out the seeds. Yun Chujio naturally would not let him grab her. She quickly dodged to the side and shouted, "It's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. This is all a misunderstanding." Everyone was furious. A misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? They had all seen her swallow the seed with their own eyes, all right. She was purely going against the wood peak. She deserved to die. Chu Shanshan rolled her eyes. This was a great opportunity for revenge. Hence, she shouted, "Everyone, let's attack together. Catch this Yun Chujio and let her spit out the seed." A few thoughts flashed through Mountain Master Ren's mind, but he did not stop her. It would be best if he could get the seed out. Even if he could not get it out, he could teach this Yun Chujio a lesson. It was too infuriating. Yun Chujio was very guilty. After all, she was in the wrong first, so she tried to explain to everyone at the beginning. However, the people of the Wood Peak were all red-eyed, so they would not listen to her explanation. They rushed forward and wanted to catch her. Yun Chujio was not stupid. If she was caught, it was possible that the crowd would beat her to death. No matter what, it was more important to save her life first. Therefore, this guy planned to escape and go to Master Xiaohu's place to hide. However, because the people of the Wood Peak were gathered here, there were many people. Yun Chujio had no way to escape. Yun Chujio could only retreat again and again. Gradually, she was very close to the thorn. Because she knew that there was an array separating them, Yun Chujio was not worried that the thorn would attack her. Suddenly, a thorn vine rolled Yun Chujio up. Fortunately, the vine had just borne fruit, so the thorn had not grown out in time. Otherwise, Yun Chujio would have been pierced into a sieve. No one thought that the thorn would break through the array and attack Yun Chujio. By the time everyone reacted, Yun Chujio was already gone. Mountain Master Ren's mind was blank. No matter what, he first told the disciples to quickly retreat from the thorn attack range and then reported it to Master Xiahou. Master Xiahou finally got a good sleep last night. Early in the morning, he felt that his right eyelid was twitching. He felt that something was going to happen. He did not expect that, as expected, something would happen again. Moreover, it was caused by that Yunchujiu. Master Xiahou regretted it. If he had known this would happen, he would have firmly grounded Yunchujiu yesterday. She was a troublemaker. Why did she go to the wood peak all of a sudden? It was one thing for her to go, but she actually swallowed the black egg. To take a step back, if she swallowed the black egg, she would confess her crimes. Why did she run away? Now, it had disappeared into thin air. Was this disaster dead or gone somewhere? The other 3 peak masters also rushed over when they heard the news. They gathered together to analyze Yunchujiu's whereabouts. Mountain Master Zhao of the Fire Peak glanced at the thorn in the distance, then he said, "Since Yunchujiu was attacked by the thorn and disappeared after being trapped by it, I think Yunchujiu's disappearance is most likely related to the thorn." Water Mountain's Mountain Master Mo said in confusion, "Mountain Master Zhao, although what you said makes sense, where did the thorn take Yunchujiu? It doesn't have a storage ring like us, so where did it take a living person?" Mountain Master Ren suddenly exclaimed, "I remember. The thorn was an ancient tree, so it had its own space and was usually used to store water. Could it have taken Yunchujiu into its own space?" Everyone was stunned. This was very possible. Then the question was, should they save Yunchujiu or not? If they did, there was only one way, and that was to kill the thorn. Once the thorn died, Yunchujiu, who was trapped in its space, was naturally released. However, the thorn was a treasure passed down from the wood peak, and it was the only one in the world. It was a pity to kill it just like that. Everyone present had their own opinions, but no one was willing to speak first. The atmosphere was a little stagnant. At this moment, Chu Quan, who had been watching from not far away, walked over and bowed to everyone. Then, he said, "Seniors, I take the liberty to say that 15 minutes have passed since Yunchujiu went missing. I feel that Yunchujiu is basically dead. If that's the case, why should we get involved in this? Moreover, she brought this upon herself. Her death was not unjustified." Mountain Master Ren berated, "Shut up, where is your place to speak?" Even though Mountain Master Ren was berating him, his tone wasn't harsh. It was obvious that he was just putting on an act. Chu Quan retreated to the side with an embarrassed expression. However, he was feeling proud in his heart. It was the stupidest thing to pick on someone like Shanshan. At the crucial moment, a few words were enough to kill someone. After scolding Chu Quan, Mountain Master Ren sighed, "Everyone, although Chu Quan has overstepped his boundaries, what he said does make sense. 15 minutes have already passed, and Yunchujiu is probably dead. If that's the case, why do we still need to go all out and kill the assassins? Even if Master Bailey of the Origin Chaotic Clan comes, he won't be able to say anything. Yunchujiu brought this on herself." Although Mountain Master Zhao of the Fire Peak didn't like Yunchujiu before, if it wasn't for Yunchujiu, he wouldn't have discovered the secret on the board, so he couldn't help but say, "What you're saying is just speculation. What if the little girl is still alive? She's waiting for us to save her, but we're not going to save her. This isn't right." Mountain Master Mo of Water Mountain agreed with Mountain Master Zhao's opinion, while Mountain Master Lien of Earth Mountain agreed with Mountain Master Ren's opinion. It was 2-2. Now, it was up to Master Xiahou. Master Xiahou felt that he had never encountered such a dilemma in his life. Should he save her or not? Master Xiahou thought of what happened at the Divine Devil Hall and what Master Bailey had said. He gritted his teeth, Yunchujiu won't die so easily. Save her. Naturally, no one dared to disobey Master Xiaohu's orders. Even though Mountain Master Ren could not bear to kill Thorn, he could only prepare to attack together with Master Xiahou. The 5 of them took their positions. Just as they were about to attack, they saw Thorn tremble violently and even let out a miserable cry. Everyone was stunned. What was going on? Just as everyone was stunned, a wet little girl appeared on the ground. Fuck. Why aren't you showing off now? Why are you attacking me? Didn't I just eat your seed? Do you have to be so stubborn? Son of a bitch. No one knew what Yun Chuzhou had done, but the thorn was as obedient as a little wife. Even though Yun Chuzhou scolded it fiercely, it did not attack. Yun Chuzhou dried the clothes on her body and cursed a few more words before she left the thorn's attack range. Sect Master, you're finally here. I'm going to be bullied to death by the people of the Wood Peak. Woo woo, they're going to cut open my stomach. Also, this bastard thorn almost absorbed me as nourishment. I'm so unlucky. Yun Chuzhou said with an aggrieved look. Mountain Master Ren and the disciples of the Wood Peak who were watching from not far away almost fainted from anger. Can you still have some face? Who is bullying who? Chu Shanshan was extremely disappointed when she saw that Yun Chuzhou was not dead. Now that she heard Yun Chuzhou inverting black and white. Immediately, she screamed sharply, Yun Chuzhou, you're spouting nonsense. You're a jinx, you shameless bitch. You were clearly the one who swallowed the black eggs of our Wood Peak, yet you're returning our seeds. Yun Chuzhou looked at Sect Master Xiahou with a wronged expression. Sect Master, look, even that Chu Shanshan dares to scold me and bully me like this when you are here. Can you imagine how much I have suffered before? Mountain Master Ren of the Wood Peak glared at Chu Shanshan. What a brainless thing. Yun Chuzhou, I will punish the disciples of our Wood Peak for speaking rudely. Now let's talk about the problem of the black egg. You swallowed the black egg of our Wood Peak. Shouldn't you have an explanation? Yun Chuzhou really wanted to shout. She didn't want to do it either, alright? It was all Go Weiba's fault, alright? Mountain Master Ren, I admit that it was my fault. At that time, I didn't know what went wrong in my head. It was most likely due to my color blindness, so I thought that another white egg had fallen, so I snatched it. In a moment of desperation, I stuffed it into my mouth, Yun Chuzhou explained with a dry smile. Mountain Master Ren was so angry that he was twitching. Are you lying to a ghost? Even color blindness can distinguish between black and white, okay? I don't care what your reason is. Just because of you, our Wood Peak suffered a huge loss. Shouldn't you compensate us? How about this? 300 million high-grade spirit stones. This matter will be settled. Otherwise, even if the sect master pleads for mercy for you, our Wood Peak will not agree, Mountain Master Ren said coldly. 300 million high-grade spirit stones. Why didn't he rob them? This old man Ren must be thinking about the spirit stones she won in the competition. How shameless. However, it was rare for this fellow to awaken her conscience. In the end, this matter was really her fault. It was reasonable to give some compensation, but 300 million was out of the question. Mountain Master Ren, everything has a cause and effect. If you really pursue this matter, you really shouldn't ask me for this money. Previously, I was originally standing behind the crowd, but it was that Chu Shanshan who seduced me to the front. If I stood at the back, wouldn't all these things disappear? Moreover, wasn't Chu Shanshan already? If it wasn't for me, there wouldn't have been a black-hearted flower. Therefore, this black egg started because of me and was swallowed by me. Isn't this fair? What money do you want from me? Yun Chuzhou said with a very reasonable look. Yun Chuzhou was obviously pestering him. This guy was very bad. Anyway, after saying these words, at least it made Mountain Master Ren dislike Chu Shanshan and offended her little fairy Jiu. HMPH, he'll torture you to death. Mountain Master Ren was so angry that he couldn't say a word. He had never seen such a shameless person. Chu Shanshan ignored Chu Quan's attempts to stop her. She scolded loudly, "Yun Chujiu, you bitch. You're spouting nonsense. You were the one who wanted to steal the eggs, that's why you went to the front. What does it have to do with me? Even if you don't come, there will still be some black-hearted flowers. Don't flatter yourself. Shut up. Men, send her to the law enforcement office and lock her in the self-reflection cave." Mountain Master Ren thought for a moment. The self-reflection cave was also ruined by Yun Chujia's bad deed. He changed his words and said, "Lock her in her own courtyard and meditate. Don't come out without my orders." Chu Quan saw that Mountain Master Ren was furious and was afraid that he would demote Chu Shanshan to an outer sect disciple in a fit of anger. He quickly let a few disciples drag Chu Shanshan away. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes. Chu Shanshan's words reminded her. She smiled and said to Mountain Master Ren, "Mountain Master Ren, please calm down first. I can't run away anyway. Let's have a discussion." Mountain Master Ren snorted. The worst thing he had done was to chase out this jinx from the very beginning. There wouldn't be such trouble later on. Mountain Master Ren, actually, if I hadn't come, this thorn might not have produced a black egg. If you don't believe me, it'll help you ask the thorn. Yun Chujiu pointed at the thorn with her finger and said, "Bastard thorn, tell me, is it because I'm here that you're so happy that you produced a black egg?" The Fire Peak's Mountain Master Zhao couldn't help but laugh out loud. It wasn't like an old hen laid an egg, but this little girl's words were really interesting. The spike had brought Yun Chujiu into his dimension just now because it wanted to take revenge. Was it easy? It had taken hundreds of thousands of years to breed a black egg just to reproduce. Who would have thought that it would be eaten by this little girl? This was outrageous. It felt that if it strangled Yun Chujiu with vines, it would definitely be stopped by Mountain Master Ren and the others. Therefore, it planned to poison Yun Chujiu to death in its own space. The water in the space of the thorn was not ordinary water. It contained the venom secreted by the thorn. It thought that Yun Chujiu would be poisoned to death once she entered. Who would have thought that not only was that little girl not poisoned to death, she even drank all the water in it. Moreover, this pervert was even prepared to use a talisman to blow up its own space. Thorn was so scared that it was trembling. It had no choice but to release Yun Chujiu from its own space. Now that it saw Yun Chujiu asking it fiercely, it recalled Yun Chujiu threatening it in its space. It could only wave its vines to express its response. "Mountain Master Ren, did you see that? The bastard thorn has already admitted it. It was to welcome me that it formed a black egg. This has nothing to do with your wood peak," Yun Chujiu said with a smile. Mountain Master Ren wished he could slap her to death. Even a fool could see that thorn was clearly afraid of her, so it responded with compromise. "Sect Master, you are a sensible person. What do you think we should do about this matter?" Mountain Master Ren finally understood. He could not win against that scoundrel Yun Chujiu, so it was better not to waste time. Master Xiahou felt his head ache a little. Why did his brain cramp up and bring this scourge back? It was simply the stupidest decision he had ever made in his life. Now that the matter was clear, Yun Chujiu had swallowed the black egg of the other wood peak. What else was there to say? She should just pay the compensation. This little girl just had to come up with a bunch of nonsense. It was really difficult to deal with. Before Master Xiahou could say anything, he heard Yun Chujiu say, "Mountain Master Ren, forget it. Although it's not all my fault, I can see that you're already so old. It's not easy, so I agree to compensate you. Should I not pursue the matter of giving you 300 million high-grade spirit stones? Everyone present was dumbfounded. Was this a tiger that didn't eat meat but ate cabbages instead? How did this little scoundrel suddenly have a conscience? Mountain Master Ren thought for a moment. No matter what, he had to get the money first. Thus, he nodded his head and said, "That's right. As long as you compensate our wood peak with 300 million high-grade spirit stones, this matter will be written off and we will not pursue it any further." Yun Chujiu nodded her head and then asked Sect Master Xiaohu, "Master Sect Master, you heard it too, right? You have to help me testify. Otherwise, when the time comes, I will give the money to Mountain Master Ren and he will not admit to it anymore." Sect Master Xiaohu could not wait for this matter to be over. He promised repeatedly that he would supervise Mountain Master Ren and Yun Yun. Yun Chujiu sighed, "The human heart is hard to predict. I just found a seed in my space. Mountain Master Ren, actually, if you are magnanimous enough to forgive me, I intend to give it to you. However, if you insist on being calculative with me, then I will take this seed back to the Primordial Chaos sect and plant it." Everyone saw that Yun Chujiu was holding a shiny black seed in her hand. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Although Mountain Master Ren had never seen a thorn seed before, he believed Yun Chujiu's words without a doubt. He felt that Yun Chujiu did not have the courage to lie to him. Therefore, he was so excited that he reached out to snatch the seed in Yun Chujiu's hand. "Stop! Mountain Master Ren, you said something just now. Have you forgotten it so quickly? As long as I give you 300 million spirit stones, won't we be even?" Yun Chujiu curled her lips and said while hiding behind Master Xiaohu. "Spirit stones, I don't want the spirit stones. As long as you give me the seed, we will be even." Mountain Master Ren said anxiously. "Seriously, you are still so fickle at your age. Forget it, I'll give it to you. Remember, we are even. You can't take revenge on me because of this matter in the future. If you are jealous of a shrimp like me, you are a puppy." Yun Chujiu said as she handed the seed to Mountain Master Ren. After obtaining the seed, Mountain Master Ren immediately ignored Yun Chujiu and studied the seed with the other elders of the Wood Peak as if they were possessed. Yun Chujiu shrugged her shoulders and walked to the front of Master Xiaohu and said, "Master Xiaohu, I have troubled you recently. I have decided to ground myself. I won't come out for a walk for the next 2 days." Master Xiaohu was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. He couldn't help but nod. Good. If you need anything, just look for Ling Kuei. As long as you stay in the courtyard and don't come out, anything is fine." "Yun Chujiu, old man Xiaohu, do you know that you won't have any friends like this?" Under the friendly gaze of the Wood Peak disciples, Yun Chujiu left the Wood Peak and returned to her dormitory. In that case, did Yun Chujiu really find that seed in the thorn space? Of course not. If there were seeds in the thorn space, they would have been used to reproduce long ago. There were more than 10 seeds in a black egg. Yun Chujiu tried her best to get one out of Guai Chao's mouth. Although this fellow had a black heart, it wasn't black to the end. She felt that it was better to leave one for the Wood Peak. This fellow was familiar with human nature. If she had only taken out this seed, Mountain Master Ren would definitely have made her compensate him. He felt that it was because of her that he had lost the other seeds. However, after all this trouble, if she took out this seed again, not only would he not be resentful, he would definitely be grateful. This was a setup. Of course, she could blackmail Mountain Master Ren, but for the sake of the rest of her life, it was better to forget about it. As for why this fellow wanted to ground her, it was because this fellow felt that he had been too high profile recently to avoid attracting too much hatred, so it was better to give up for a few days. There was another reason, that was because she received a voice transmission talisman from Di Biming, saying that she would be able to rush to the origin killing sect tonight after the matter was settled. A certain Jiu tidied up the house and got Mao Mao Chiu to bring out a lot of wild flowers from the Great Void Mystic Realm, decorating the house very warmly. After finishing everything, she scolded Guai Chao while waiting for Di Biming to arrive. Guai Chao was already used to it. If he wanted to scold it, he could scold it. After all, there would be a lot of leaves missing. If he scolded it casually and did not get scolded every few days, it would not be used to it. Yun Chujio held her chin and pondered. The gigolo said that he was going to fetch something. What was it exactly that he was going to fetch? Just as the gigolo was pondering, Di Biming walked in from outside. A certain Jiu thought sourly in her heart, it's still better to have high spiritual power. Looking at the gigolo coming in and out of the sky killing sect, it's as if he's playing around. He's so cool. Di Biming was still dressed in white. He saw that the house had been meticulously tidied up, and there was food on the table. Most importantly, his wife was looking at him with a smile. He suddenly felt that everything was worth it. Prince Charming, did everything go smoothly? Yun Chujio helped Di Biming wash his hands and face. Seeing Yun Chujio's attitude, Di Biming unconsciously smiled, "N. How have you been these few days? Did you get into trouble?" Yun Chujio thought to herself, "Great. It was simply wonderful." This guy was afraid that Di Biming would say that she was a demon. Last time, because of helping Xiao Hanio to snatch the fire of nirvana, Di Biming almost died. He lost his temper. This time, in order to look for the little flame, she almost became a monkey. How would she dare to say that? She just laughed and said a few perfunctory words. Di Biming did not care too much. He felt that he had only left for a few days, so nothing major should happen. How would he know that the person in front of him was a troublemaker? In just a few days, he had almost turned the sky and earth upside down. The two of them sat down and ate as they chatted. Yun Chujio asked, "Prince Charming, did Wu Ji's brain and the little madman improve quickly?" "They're not too useless. The main thing is that if they don't become stronger, they'll lose their lives. Naturally, they'll become stronger," Di Biming said indifferently. Yun Chujio knew that the words, "not too useless," from this guy's mouth meant that he was not bad. With the help of the two of them, the pretty boy would also be able to relax a little. After dinner, Yun Chujio insisted that Di Biming accompany her to the roof to look at the stars. A certain Jiu who hated the heavens felt that this was an insult to her intelligence, but she could not resist the coquetry of a certain Jiu. She could only carry Yun Chujio and jump onto the roof. "Prince Charming, look at how beautiful the starry sky is." "I can't tell." "Prince Charming, can you see over there? That's the cowherd and Vega star, the one who met on Magpie Bridge." "Humph. That cowherd is such a good-for-nothing. If it's me, he'll kill anyone who tries to stop us from being together." "Prince Charming, look, it's a shooting star. Hurry up and make a wish." "Childish. Fuck, can we still have a proper relationship?" A certain Jiu glared at a certain Jiu with all her might, an arrogant and unromantic person. A certain Jiu saw that certain Jiu's eyes were sparkling, and she suddenly felt blessed and said, "Little Jiu, your eyes are even more beautiful than the stars in the sky." A certain Jiu was instantly healed. Her little face flushed red as she leaned on Di Biming's body, feeling that everything was so beautiful. A certain Jiu lowered her head, and the two of them kissed. A certain Jiu suddenly understood the beauty of looking at the stars. She could still come out often in the future to take a look. This tone, this true self liked. The two of them, who were bubbling in pink bubbles, lingered for a long time. It was not until late at night that they returned to the house. After the two of them washed up briefly, they lay on the bed. Di Biming hugged his fragrant and soft little wife. It was as if a ball of fire was burning in his heart. However, he could only burn it dry and could not put out the fire. Hence, Guai Chao suffered another round of mixed scoldings from both men and women. He took it as a compliment. He thought to himself, it was a good thing that he was mentally strong. Otherwise, he would definitely be scolded and depressed. After a good night's sleep, the next day, the two of them had just eaten breakfast when Di Biming frowned. Someone is here. Di Biming looked very unhappy. It was really not a good time. It was not easy for him to stay with his little wife for a few days. Why would he come if he had nothing to do? Di Biming entered the house unwillingly. Yun Chujio removed the isolation array and opened the courtyard door. She saw Leng Kuei standing outside. "Senior brother Leng, why are you looking for me?" Leng Kuei snorted, "Do you think I'm willing to look for you? Isn't it because master is afraid that you won't keep your word and cause trouble again? He asked me to look after you." Yun Chujio's heart was like a mutt. Was her credibility so bad now? Old man Xia Ho still sent Leng Kuei to look after her. What happened to the trust between people? Was it all fed to the dogs? "Senior brother Leng, don't worry. I won't go out. I'll stay in the courtyard obediently for the next few days," Yun Chujio said confidently. Leng Kuei looked at her with disdain. "You said that you wouldn't cause any trouble 2 days ago. In the end, you swallowed the black egg of the wood peak yesterday. Look at you. Ever since you came, our Shi Yuan sect has never stopped. Forget about the gambling. After all, they are stupid. Did you cause the Fire Peaks plaque and the self-reflection cave? Because of you, the self-reflection cave hasn't been used properly, not to mention the wood peak's black egg." Yun Chujio was afraid that if Leng Kuei said anything more, Di Biming would notice the flaws. She quickly interrupted, "Senior brother Leng, I will stay in the courtyard obediently this time. If you don't believe me, I swear. If I go out to cause trouble again, I will be struck by lightning. Is that all right?" "All right, if that's the case, then I will go back. I'm warning you, if you continue to cause trouble like blowing up the self-reflection cave and swallowing the black egg, even my master will not be able to protect you." Leng Kuei did not want to stay here either. Firstly, he did not like Yun Chujio, and secondly, the spiritual energy at the foot of the mountain was thin. Therefore, seeing that Yun Chujio had sworn, he turned around and left. Yun Chujio closed the door and turned around. She saw Di Biming staring at her gloomily. "What happened to the self-reflection cave and the black swallowing egg? Didn't you say that nothing happened?" Yun Chujio kicked the small stone on the ground with a guilty conscience. "It's just a small matter. It's just a small matter." "A small matter? Why would the disciples of the sect leader keep an eye on you for a small matter? Are they afraid that you will go out and cause trouble?" Di Biming was indeed arrogant, but it did not mean that his thoughts were not meticulous. Yun Chujio had no choice but to cut corners and tell him the whole story. Then, she said weakly, "Prince Charming, I have no choice. I was forced to do it, so, it can be forgiven, right?" Di Biming sneered, "No choice. No choice. Let me ask you, if you did not take the initiative to steal the Fire Peaks plaque, would there be anything after that?" The 10,000-year-old fire marrow is much more powerful than you think. What could happen to it? Taking a step back, you didn't even think about it clearly, yet you carelessly went to flirt with others, just to enter a self-reflection cave. Aren't you wrong? Also, if you didn't go to the wood peak to join in the fun, would there be any black egg matter? Yun Chujio was so guilty that she didn't even dare to look at Di Biming. She encouraged herself. Little Jiu, can you be a little tougher? What's there to be afraid of? Aren't you fine now? Aren't you jumping around? This fellow had been hinting for a long time before he straightened his back and said, Prince Charming, everything you said is right, but am I not fine now? I will pay attention next time. Di Biming snorted coldly, write a self-reflection. Write it now. A certain Jiu wanted to resist, but seeing Di Biming's gloomy face, she resigned herself to fate and took out a pen and paper to write a self-reflection. This fellow comforted himself. It's not like he hadn't written it before. If he wrote it, then so be it. Just treat it as practicing calligraphy. This fellow couldn't remember how many self-criticism letters he had written in the past, so he wrote a random number and wrote a piece of paper in a carefree manner before handing it over to Di Biming. Di Biming glanced at it and said with disdain, "You dog-like calligraphy hasn't improved at all. Since you have the time to cause trouble everywhere, you might as well practice your calligraphy." A certain Jiu cursed in her heart. Practice your head. Although my writing isn't good, my drawing of yours is very good. Thus, this fellow's thoughts went astray. Di Biming read through the self-criticism book. Although he felt that it was more perfunctory, it could be considered as a little caution. Thus, he said, although the words are ugly, the content is passable. Do you know that it's wrong? A certain Jiu did not say anything. Di Biming frowned and raised his voice, Little Jiu, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about your fruit, I'm thinking about you. Of course, I'm thinking about what you said. I was wrong. In the future, I will definitely think twice before I act. I will never make the same mistake again. I promise. A certain Jiu was so close that she almost let it slip. Di Biming nodded in satisfaction. He said earnestly, Little Jiu, it's not that I'm harsh on you. It's just that your spiritual power is too low right now. Although you can crush the jade token I gave you at the critical moment and I can come and help you, if you are locked in a secret realm or something like that, I'm powerless. Yun Chujia's heart warmed when she heard what Di Biming said. To be able to make this handsome gigolo say that he was powerless, it could only mean that he was very concerned about her safety. Yun Chujio hugged Di Biming's waist, there was a layer of water vapor in her eyes. Yes, my Prince Charming, I know. I will definitely pay attention in the future. Prince Charming, you have to pay attention to your safety too. We are all safe and sound. This is the best thing. Di Biming lowered his head and wanted to kiss Yun Chujio. He suddenly frowned. Damn it, who was it? Why is it so hard to stay quietly with my little wife? A sharp scolding came from outside the courtyard, Yun Chujio, little bitch, come out. Aren't you going to the competition stage? I'm here to challenge you. Yun Chujio frowned. Chu Shanshan. Wasn't she already grounded? Why did she come out today? It was probably because Chu Quan was pleading on her behalf. Yun Chujio was about to go out to take a look when she heard Chu Shanshan screaming again and again, followed by the sound of a heavy object landing on the ground. Yun Chujio leaned against the crack of the door and looked. She saw Chu Shanshan lying under a tree hundreds of feet away. It seemed that she had fallen unconscious. Chu Shanshan's followers were screaming and shouting to save her. Yun Chujio turned her head, she heard Di Biming say coldly, if I wasn't afraid of trouble, I would have taken her dog life. Where did she live? I'll kill her at night. Those people following me aren't good either. I'll kill them for you. Yun Chujio was already immune to the killing intent of a certain deity, she said disdainfully, she's just a little grasshopper. She probably found a formation plate that forbids the use of talismans, so she came to challenge me. Humph. Even if I don't use talismans, I can still kill her. Di Biming saw Yun Chujia's delicate appearance and immediately put the matter of killing people to the back of his mind. He hugged a certain Jiu and kissed her. Chu Shanshan, who was unlucky outside, got up and rushed out of the courtyard again. Before she could open her mouth to curse, she flew out again. This time, it was coincidentally the roof of the big kitchen. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. In the big kitchen, everyone was chatting as they worked. Naturally, the focus of their discussion could not be separated from a certain Jiu who had been playing tricks recently. Everyone was rejoicing. Fortunately, they had stopped in time and did not provoke Yun Chujio. Otherwise, this fellow would even dare to blow up his self-reflection hole. If they provoked her, they might even blow up the big kitchen. Just as everyone was talking, they heard a bang. A person fell from the roof and coincidentally fell onto the stove. Coincidentally, there was half a pot of hot porridge in the pot. A certain someone finally quietly and smoothly got what he wanted. He kissed his little wife until she was in a mess. The sky and earth were dark. A certain someone looked at his little wife's confused expression and felt very pleased. It seemed that little Jiu was completely convinced by his charm. Then, he heard his wife say, "Prince Charming, you can play by yourself for a while. I'll go and take a look at that little bitch's sorry state." Yun Chujio did not wait for Di Biming to speak after she finished speaking. She pushed open the courtyard door and ran towards the big kitchen. A certain someone was stunned on the spot. Her lonely figure was even more lonely than that half-dead tree. Where was the sweetness that they had agreed upon? What happened to the intimacy? Yun Chujio saw a hole in the roof of the big kitchen from afar. Amidst the chaotic sounds, Chu Shanshan's shrill scream was especially pleasant to the ears. Yun Chujio stood at the entrance of the big kitchen and looked inside. She saw Chu Shanshan's hair and body covered in hot porridge. Her face was also full of blisters. She looked as embarrassed as she could be. "Hey, what's going on? Chu Shanshan, didn't you want me to go on the competition stage? Why did you come to the kitchen to have porridge?" Yun Chujio hugged her shoulders and smiled proudly. "Bitch! I'm going to kill you." Chu Shanshan rushed at Yun Chujio like she was crazy. She felt that all of this was caused by Yun Chujio. She had to kill this bitch today. Yun Chujio naturally would not just stand there and wait to be beaten. With a light leap, she jumped out of the kitchen and threw a large oil paper bag of chili noodles at Chu Shanshan. Chu Shanshan did not know that Yun Chujio would be so wicked. She was in a hurry to kill Yun Chujio, so she smashed the oil paper bag into pieces. Boom! The chili noodles in the oil paper bag blew on Chu Shanshan's face. Her face was already covered in blisters, but now that the chili noodles were on it, the sour feeling was indescribable. Ah! 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 Yun Chujio, bitch, Chu Shanshan was in pain and anger. She rolled her eyes and actually fainted with a choking sound. Yun Chujio touched her nose and said to the crowd, "Did you all see that? I didn't do anything. Her physical fitness is too poor." She actually fainted after running a few steps. She really lacks exercise. The crowd was speechless. Could you be any more shameless? You didn't do anything. What else do you want to do by sprinkling chili noodles on her wound? Chu Shanshan's lackeys saw her sorry state and forcefully endured the discomfort to wake her up. "Bitch, just you wait. I'm not done with you." After Chu Shanshan finished her harsh words, the lackeys helped her out of the kitchen. Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders and said it as if she didn't do it today, she would be able to forget her past with a smile. Pretentious. Yun Chujio turned around and took a few steps forward. The people in the kitchen subconsciously took a few steps back. Fatty Wang said with a trembling voice, Yun. Junior sister Yun, what? What are you doing? Why are you so nervous? I'm just looking for something to eat, Yun Chujio said speechlessly. When Fatty Wang heard Yun Chujio's words, it was as if he had been injected with stimulants. He shouted loudly, don't just stand there. Didn't you hear junior sister Yun say that she wants to find something to eat? Hurry up and cook your specialty dishes for junior sister Yun. That someone, hurry up and make the noodles. That old Xia, hurry up and make the soup. After hearing Fatty Wang's words, the people in the big kitchen immediately became excited. They didn't care about the big hole in their heads that leaked air and started to get busy. Yun Chujio, this fellow was very proud in his heart. Such treatment, even old man Xia Ho wouldn't have it, right? After you're done, send it to my courtyard. I'll go back first. Yun Chujio said to Fatty Wang. Fatty Wang wiped the cold sweat off his head, nodded and bowed. Junior sister Yun, don't worry. When they're done, I'll get someone to send them to you. There's also a new batch of fruits in the kitchen. I'll send them to you as well. Yun Chujio nodded. Fatty Wang, you've been improving very quickly recently. You'll definitely have a great development in the future. Work hard, I have high hopes for you. Fatty Wang thought to himself, he didn't know if there would be a great development. He only had one dream now, and that was when the 3 months were up, this great aunt should get lost quickly. It would be best if she didn't come back in the future. Yun Chujio returned to the dormitory with satisfaction. Seeing that Di Biming wasn't in the courtyard, she pushed open the door and walked in. She saw Di Biming reading a book. Idle, you didn't see it. Chu Shanshan fell into the porridge pot, and then I showed her a face full of spicy noodles. This is terrible. Ha ha ha. Di Biming did not speak. Idle, I asked the kitchen to cook some food. We can keep it for lunch. Di Biming was still reading and did not speak. Idle, did you hear what I said? Di Biming did not even raise his head, let alone talk to her. Ahem, Idle, what I want to say is that your book is upside down. Di Biming subconsciously changed the direction of the book and realized that he had been tricked. Now, it was upside down, okay. Di Biming snorted and threw the book on the desk. He said to Yun Chujio, get out. I want to be alone. Prince Charming, are you angry? What did I do to make you unhappy? A certain Jiu asked timidly. Get out. I don't want to talk to you. Di Biming thought of the desolate scene just now and felt his heart suffocate. He actually left him alone in the yard just to look at an ugly monster. The black thing was increasingly disregarding him. Yun Chujio saw that she had admitted defeat and Di Biming was still acting tough. Her temper flared up, she pointed at Di Biming's nose and shouted, you don't want to talk to me? I don't want to talk to you. Look at you now, you're acting like you're so arrogant. Why are you so arrogant? No matter how powerful you are, aren't you still the same nose and 2 eyes? You scolded me and asked me to write a self-reflection letter. What did I say? Do you think I'm really afraid of you? I'm just giving in to you. Giving in, do you know what that means? I'm treating you like an insensible child. Get lost. Do you think I want to see your constipated face? I won't serve you anymore. You're just a shameless arrogant fool. If I return it, it'll be your grandson. After Yun Chujio said that, she slammed the door and went out. Yun Chujio left the courtyard in a huff. Damn it, I've had enough. They were all men trying to make their girlfriends happy, but she had to coax that arrogant fool who was always insulting the heavens and the earth. She would lose her face every few days and serve whoever she wanted. Anyway, she wouldn't serve anyone anymore. This fellow walked for a while in a huff before he remembered. Damn it, that was my courtyard. If he wanted to leave, he should have told the gigolo to leave. He was really mad. However, since he had come out, there was no reason for him to go back. It was also good to find someone to vent his anger on. He should go and cheat. Therefore, this fellow went to the big kitchen with a gloomy face. Fatty Wong quickly went up to her and asked, "Junior sister Yun, why are you back?" "Why? This big kitchen is your territory. Can't I come?" Fatty Wong almost vomited blood. He could only say embarrassedly, I can come, I can come." "You can come as you please." Yun Chujio walked to the side of her personal stove and sat on the small horse. She stared at the crowd with a gloomy face. The atmosphere in the big kitchen suddenly dropped to the freezing point. Everyone was careful, afraid to provoke this female fiend. The saddest one was the handyman who cut the vegetables. He didn't dare to make too much noise, so he could only cut the vegetables gently bit by bit. It was simply too torturous. After 2 hours of hard work, all the dishes were ready. Yun Chujio put the dishes into her storage ring and then left the big kitchen. When the people in the big kitchen saw that the bad guy had finally left, they felt as if they had survived a disaster. Damn, the atmosphere in the room just now was suffocating, okay? It was really strange. She was clearly a little girl at the 6th layer of the spiritual mystery realm. Why did it make people feel scared from the bottom of their hearts? Yun Chujio walked out of the big kitchen and was at a loss. Where was she going? She had already made a promise to Leng Kuei that she would not run around anymore. If she were to go wandering around, would that count as not keeping her word? This guy thought for a moment. Behind the big kitchen was the back mountain of Jin Feng, so there should not be any trouble there. Therefore, this guy went to the back mountain of Jin Feng with a gloomy face and casually broke a branch. Then, he found a big rock and sat down. He took the branch and whipped it hard on the ground. "You little gigolo. I'll whip you. I'll whip you to death. Arrogant. Shameless. Do you think I care about you? Pa. Narcissist. How could that fragile little branch withstand this guy's whipping?" It broke after a few whips. This guy was so angry that he threw the remaining half of his hand away. "What kind of lousy thing is this? Even you are bullying me. Squeak squeak." The twig that Yun Chujio casually threw had hit some demon beast. Only a miserable cry could be heard. Yun Chujio turned her head and saw a grey shadow running into the depths of the forest. This fellow was feeling extremely bored and quickly got up to chase after it. The demon beasts that lived in the back mountain were mostly low-level demon beasts. Therefore, Yun Chujio did not spend much effort to chase after it. It turned out to be a long-eared wind-blade rabbit. When the long-eared wind-blade rabbit saw Yun Chujio chasing after it, it ran as fast as it could and went into a cave, disappearing without a trace. Yun Chujio suddenly felt dispirited. So it was such a small thing. She was tired of eating rabbit meat. Forget it, she could spare it with kindness. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio was about to turn around and leave. Suddenly, she narrowed her eyes and took a few steps forward. There seemed to be something wrong with this rabbit hole. A normal rabbit hole was only the size of a rabbit's body. This was to prevent predators from entering. However, this rabbit hole was a little too big. No matter how she looked at it, it did not look like a rabbit hole. Yun Chujio curiously walked to the side of the cave and observed it. The wild grass around the cave did not look different from the wild grass beside it, which meant that the cave should have existed a long time ago. Could it be that this cave was dug by another large-scale demon beast and then occupied by this long-eared windblade rabbit? Yun Chujio felt that this explanation was still reasonable, so she stood up and prepared to leave. At this moment, she heard the long-eared windblade rabbit's miserable cry from the depths of the cave. It was so shrill, as if it had encountered something terrible. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh. Since you had burrowed into the other person's cave, you naturally took the initiative to deliver yourself to the other person as a snack. What's the use of shouting now? Yun Chujio took a few steps forward. After thinking for a while, she turned back and muttered, "Forget it, I'll show mercy once. I hope it's not too late." The reason why this guy was so kind was because he felt that she was like this rabbit. He clearly knew that the pretty boy was an arrogant maniac, but he still wanted to get close to her. Wasn't he just looking for trouble? It could only be said that it was easy for people who had fallen out of love to connect the dots. They could even connect the dots when they saw a rabbit. This guy took a few steps back. He faced the entrance of the cave and shot out several bolts of lightning. He shouted, "Hey! Listen to me, the demonic beast inside. That rabbit is my pet. If you dare to eat it, I'll roast you." It was unknown whether it was because the soil in the back mountain was too loose or Yun Chujio's lightning was too powerful. After a few bolts of lightning from this fellow, a large area around the cave collapsed. Curious Gio also fell down miserably. That poor long-eared wind-blade rabbit was currently being swallowed by a bloodthirsty giant python. Only a pair of long rabbit ears were still exposed. Yun Chujio shot several bolts of lightning at the 7 inches of the giant bloodthirsty python. Even though this fellow was a weakling in front of Master Xiaoho and the others, in front of these low-level demon beasts, he was simply a formidable fiend. The giant bloodthirsty python was only a level 20 demon beast. How could it withstand her attack? Its body was in pain. It opened its mouth and spat out the poor long-eared wind-blade rabbit. Yun Chujio did not stop until the giant bloodthirsty python was dead. Although the miserable long-eared wind-blade rabbit did not die, it was timid to begin with. Now, it was so scared that it was trembling. "Alright, I won't kill you. Run for your life." When the long-eared wind-blade rabbit heard Yun Chujio's words, it stood up and ran into the depths of the cave in a panic. Yun Chujio was so angry that she laughed. "This is really a stupid rabbit. Why don't you run out of the cave instead?" Yun Chujio was also bored and followed the rabbit into the cave. The long-eared wind-blade rabbit was also scared out of its mind. When it saw that Yun Chujio had actually followed it, it used its 4 claws to dig at the wall of the cave desperately. It was obvious that it was planning to dig a hole to escape. Yun Chujio hugged her shoulders and watched from the side. How could there be such a stupid rabbit? This fellow was also quite wicked. It took out a small pony from its storage ring and sat on it to watch the rabbit dig a hole. The long-eared wind-blade rabbit felt that it was really unlucky. It was perfectly fine eating grass, but it was smashed by this fiend's branch. "Let's dig a hole," and we even met a bloodthirsty python. Now, the evil star was still eyeing it from the side. What was she going to do? The long-eared wind-blade rabbit did not believe that Yun Chujio would not kill it. If she did not want to kill it, why did she not leave? Why was she staring at it? She must have planned to wait until it was exhausted from digging the hole before eating it. Bad silver. Just as the long-eared wind-blade rabbit was trying its best to dig a hole, it heard that evil star casually say, "TSK, your digging skills are really not that good. I heard that a crafty rabbit has 3 burrows. With a weakling like you, it would probably take you a lifetime to dig 3 burrows, right? The long-eared wind-blade rabbit felt that it had received 10,000 points of damage, but it did not dare to go against Yun Chujo. It could only desperately dig, plop. Yun Chujo only heard a plop, and then there was no more movement. She stood up in surprise and was momentarily dumbfounded. What was going on? Could there be a hole behind this hole? Yun Chujo threw a sudden crack talisman into the tunnel that the long-eared wind-blade rabbit had dug earlier. After the explosion, Yun Chujo found that the inside was actually hollow, with the faint sound of running water. Yun Chujo immediately understood. There should be an underground river down there. The unlucky long-eared wind-blade rabbit must have fallen into the underground river, which was why there was a splash. Yun Chujo took out the luminous pearl and shone it on it. Sure enough, there was an underground river down there, but the flow was very slow, so the sound of the water was not loud. The unlucky long-eared wind-blade rabbit had climbed up the rock by the side of the underground river, with a look of despair on its face. Yun Chujo sat on the chopping board and flew down. The long-eared wind-blade rabbit did not move at all. It had already accepted its fate. If it was willing to eat it, then it would eat it. Yun Chujo walked to the side of the dark river and looked around. She did not know where this dark river flowed from. If it was discovered, it would definitely be a hidden danger to the origin-killing sect. Because if someone sneaked into the origin-killing sect from the dark river, no one would discover it. It would be completely undetectable. Yun Chujo thought of this and decided to explore along the underground river. Anyway, she did not want to go back and face Di Baiming's ugly face now. She might as well swim. Rabbit, I want to go down and swim. Come with me. Yun Chujo said while holding the long ears of the long-eared wind-blade rabbit. The long-eared wind-blade rabbit rolled its eyelids and fainted from anger. It was a rabbit, not a fish, okay? Swim my ass. Yun Chujo could not help but laugh. She put the rabbit into her spirit beast bag and jumped into the dark river. The dark river was deeper than she had imagined. She swam down the river and swam for 2 hours before she realized that there was light coming in. It seemed like she was going out. However, when she swam to a place where there was light, she could not help but be a little surprised. In front of her was a stone wall. There were some cracks on the stone wall, and the water in the dark river flowed out through the cracks. Only then did this fellow understand why the flow of water was so slow and why the water from the underground river was so deep. It was because the exit was too narrow, which was why it was like this. However, this was also good. This way, people with ulterior motives would not be able to use it to sneak into the origin-killing sect. However, this was still not too safe. When there was an opportunity, she would explore what exactly this place was. Thinking of this, he swam back to the place where he fell. After thinking for a while, he felt that it was still early, so he swam up again to see where the other end of the underground river led to. Therefore, he started swimming again. After swimming for 4 hours, she saw a light shining in. To her surprise, the source was only a few narrow stone cracks, and the water was slowly seeping down. Yun Chujo touched her chin. She guessed that there was either a spring or a stream. Since there was not much water seeping down, no one would notice it. As for the water seeping down, it had formed an underground river after many years. It was not formed overnight. It should have been thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.